All right. Good evening, everybody. I think I might have messed up the the detection. Oh, it's sort of there. um, so I'm dealing with a little bit of strangeness on my end. I might be able to handle it. Let's see what we've got. So why aren't you filling my whole screen then? Okay, so I've fit the screen. It's fitting for me now here as well. Huh. So it looks like there's just a tiny little sliver at the top that isn't going in. Now, it's been a while since I've jumped into this game, and as is my really bad habit for some of these strategy games, because I, on my own time, don't really mind a long load time. I have it on my regular hard drive, and I always forget to put stuff on the solid state when I'm ready to stream it. But as you can see, we're making a little bit of progress, and it gives me a chance to... All right, so let me just double check that all of the... Display 7, you say? All right, well, that's exciting. All right, that looks like the way it should be, and yet for some reason this thing is... Oh, you know what? I think I know what went wrong. Maybe not. Okay, my aspect ratios look right. This should be streaming at 1080. Let me just take a quick second here and go to my Twitch page. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've streamed this, so I probably should have prepared for a hiccup. But let me just take a quick second here and make sure everything's tagged up properly anyway. Okay. I'm also curious if I'm just imagining this, and if everybody else can see the appropriate aspect ratios. Yeah, so that looks right. Sorry to cut into the music. This game has wonderful music. But all right, I think we're ready to go. Yeah, it looks like whenever I tab in and out, it goes a little funny. So, for those of you who are longtime fans of the cast, this game really doesn't require any introduction. But for those of you maybe a little less familiar, possibly you've come to the channel through a BattleTech, or some people are still coming in through through Cultist Simulator and whatnot. This is another game by the publisher Paradox Interactive, so the relationship that that this has to those two other games. Triumph Studios was another developer that Paradox bought, and Age of Wonders Planetfall is the first game that they have published, or that Paradox has published since acquiring Triumph Studios. I believe Triumph is based in the Netherlands, which of course is a great friend of Canada's, so that automatically puts them on a big thumbs up for me. Now the funny thing is, I believe I've only ever played the Age of Wonders games by Triumph Studios. This is, I think, the fourth in the series. So there's Age of Wonders 1 through 3, which are fantasy games, and Age of Wonders Planetfall takes it to this really original science fiction setting. It's one of the things that I like quite a bit. And BattleTech was something that was kickstarted originally by Harebrained Schemes, and Paradox stepped in as a publisher over time, and I believe acquired the company just before BattleTech was released. And then as far as the connection to Cultist Simulator is concerned, another game that we do very frequently on Mondays. In fact, one thing that I'm really looking forward to getting back to is Stellaris. and that one has a very famous DLC called the Horizon Signal, and the writer of that was also the writer of Cultist Simulator. So lots of through lines. Obviously, Mondays are dedicated to Paradox games, and this will try and bring all of those threads together based on the activity that I've seen on different social media accounts. As always, it's important to disclose some of these interests here. So both Age of Wonders Planetfall and the DLC that I'll be playing, Age of Wonders Planetfall Revelations, you can see that enabled here. Both of those were given to me for promotional purposes. So again, it's been a while since this stuff has been released, and I like to say that I don't have a problem declining keys. I don't have a problem, telling people that it's not a good fit. I've been very lucky that people have really been able to sort of make that match work very well, but it's something that, in addition to the fact that enforcement is going up, it's also one of these things that people should be aware about. It is a great marketing tool to be able to have people be very enthusiastic about a game and show it with people, but it's up to you to decide what that interest means. So again, keep in mind that I am playing a game for which I haven't paid, and I'm very grateful to Triumph, Paradox, Triple Point, and anybody else I have to say thank you to that for. Now, so there's a couple of things that have happened for this. So Age of Wonders has this really interesting campaign in the base game, which I haven't actually completed. And Revelations extends it with 2 further sort of scenarios inside of the campaign, in addition to the scenario. So essentially, we'll talk a little bit about how the gameplay works inside the game itself. But one, the campaign is it's a really interesting structure. I don't really think I've seen anything quite like it in another turn-based strategy game like this. But I would say that scenarios are basically, if you want to just sit down and say, I'm going to do what is equivalent to sort of like a game of Civilization, right? It's got its ups and its downs, it's got its story that's told through the gameplay, but it's not part of sort of a larger, it's not part of like a larger saga or larger sequence of events. Whereas the campaign mode, you're limited in terms of what species you can play. You have to complete certain missions before you can play other ones. And from that, you're going to be taking certain actions, which I'm told, at least, I haven't actually gotten to one where the payoff happens, but apparently the decisions you make during certain scenarios will have an influence on what happens later on inside the game. So with that in mind, we're going to be continuing on with the Kir'ko. This is interesting. Turn 22. Wow, it's been December. It's been a long time since I've jumped into this. We are in the middle of a game, so unfortunately, there's a little bit of a I don't know, a distance for me to do. And one of the challenges I have is I don't remember the difficulty setting that I enabled for this. So this is going to be a little rough to start off with, but that's fine. We'll sort out all the details. I have a pretty good idea, I think, about where we're going to be going with everything. Let me just take a quick minute and sort of say, what is this game and what's it like? Why is this worthy of your attention? Why am I playing it right now? So to a certain extent, this game is like a standard 4X game. There's the strategic layer that we're in right now. Similar games, you've got Civilization, you've got the Endless series, Endless Space, Endless Legend. But it's definitely not just that. One thing that I think is worth sort of mentioning as a differentiator is to compare how Civilization handles sort of combat relative to how maybe, let's say, Endless Legend and Age of Wonders handles combat. In Age of Wonders, what can happen is you can have... Actually, you know what? Let's go from Civilization to through Endless Legend to Age of Wonders Planetfall, because I think that probably has the most logical breakdown. So if you play Civilization, everything sort of takes place on this strategic level of the game. You essentially have this... You have this look, you see your units top down. You see the cities that you've built. And if you send a unit off to war, it's going to have a battle on that strategic layer. You can't do what you see here, which is to have sort of a stack of units anymore. I believe it was Civilization 5 that got rid of unit stacking. Might even have been 4. I'm pretty sure it's 5, though. And essentially, the game definitely takes a very macro picture. There is a micro element in the sense that you have, you can control the cities and whatnot. You definitely have a lot of choices to make in terms of how you set up your empire and whatnot. But as far as the combat element is concerned, that is just another part of the strategic layer, and you don't have some sort of granular control over how your units behave. The idea more is to make sure that you have the appropriate units in the right area to do, whatever it is you wanted to accomplish. Endless Legend it's not the first game that Amplitude Studios did. Obviously, they did Endless Space before that, but Endless Legend takes sort of the fantasy genre, and it adds a couple of things which I think eventually wound up feeding into Civilization. And in this sense, there are districts, so you can sort of see how the map is broken up here into these different districts. In Endless Legend, you can only have one city in one sort of district at a time. And that was sort of interesting, too, because in Endless Legend, you were discovering this fantasy world, and they always had these very kind of evocative titles. And it was always sort of interesting to discover the planet as you went through. But again, one of the big features of it was that instead of Civilization, where there's maybe strategic reasons why you wouldn't want to stack cities on top of each other, in the case of Endless Legend, you really couldn't. You were limited to building one city in wherever you thought the best access to resources was, and you could grow out your cities. You'd add more and more districts as time went by, but in the end, you couldn't build a city, let's say 4 hexes away from your other city because it had a lot of science or something like that. And obviously, the district system is something that eventually fed into Civilization. You can still build cities wherever you want, but cities are no longer these individual units where you sort of stack up all of these improvements. They sort of unstack them like they did the military units in the previous game in number 5. So Age of Wonders Planetfall... Oh, sorry, one other feature of Endless Legend is that so you can have unit combat, and in the case of unit combat, it does actually take place on the strategic map, but what happens is you see your units sort of take positions on the strategic map, and you can kind of give them general orders in terms of like what they should prioritize in terms of attacking and whatnot. And you'll see them kind of hash it out over a few turns. So in this case here, you've got stack units back, you have variety in terms of units, and you don't have very direct control. So it's not XCOM in terms of being able to say, "Hey, I want you to move exactly, 6 tiles in that direction and take cover." You do have a little bit more control than just, "Here's one unit, and I'm going to put them in that other unit, and hope for the best." So enter Age of Wonders Planetfall. The Age of Wonders series has changed over time, so I believe in Age of Wonders 3 you're still able to locate you get to decide where you build your cities and whatnot. In Age of Wonders Planetfall, basically, you now colonize these districts, and it will give you certain bonuses and whatnot. And in this case here, there's still an interesting sort of little micro-level game in terms of the population management and all of that. But I think what it does is it really reinforces kind of where the plan for this game is. Where I'd suggest that probably Civilization has a bit more to do with sort of building up this grand empire. It really does feel that Age of Wonders Planetfall is very much focused about, yes, you want to build up your infrastructure, but that is to allow you to build even more units, which you'll then send out to conquer things. So it's still a 4X game, but there is a lot of depth to the military side of the game. And that's reflected by the fact that not only do you allow multiple units to participate in the combat, but in fact, the surrounding hexes of the area that you're attacking participates in the battle. So you can actually have, you've got 6 units per stack, and there's 7 hexes, the 6 surrounding the center hex plus whatever's being attacked. Excuse me. So in that case, what you're looking at is something like 42 units potentially participating inside of a combat. So again, there's no real like better or worse. Although I do think there's sort of revealed preferences in terms of like the time that I've spent in certain games. I've really not done a lot of time in Endless Legend, and none of it really on stream. Although that's not that I dislike the game. But Age of Wonders Planetfall's really got its hooks in me. And the only reason I haven't been playing it more is because I've also really wanted to be going through BattleTech. So now that we finished the campaign for BattleTech, we've got this. And I know I just kind of gave a verbal overview about what it's like, but you'll get a chance to see it as we carry on. So that's kind of my elaborate throat clearing for the evening. I figure some folks will have gotten in by now. And what I'm most curious about now is if there's a summary of what's happened before. The Imperial Archives is basically like the Civilopedia. I am also curious what difficulty I set for this one. Oh, it wouldn't be under options. It would have to be like a game options. I have a haunting fear that I actually put this on difficult for this one, because I was starting to find my stride and then I went away from it for a while, so I'm going to be relearning the game. All right, so we've got diplomacy.
Operations available for priming.
Objectives. Okay, this will give me a little bit of a summary of the mission that we've been on so far. That's funny. There's actually a kind of an interesting story for this one, and I'm a little surprised that there isn't an option to recap. There's definitely the event log and whatnot, but I don't think it'll really get me through the events that... Yeah. Okay, well, here's what we'll do. Let's go with objectives, and we'll work with what we've got there. So we've got completed. So the first quest we had was explore Kir'ko. This is the homeworld of these bug people that I'm playing, also known as the Kir'ko. And we also needed to find the colonies. Now, one of the things, we used to be slaves as part of this grand star empire, and one of the things that we've been trying to do so far has been to sort of reawaken the queen. But we have been given a sort of a warning from this other faction that this is actually going to be a tool of control against us, and so in this case. We've got, okay, so free the Kir'ko from the Syndicate prisons. We've done that. Flowers and bee. No, that can't be right. Anyways, so yeah, there's the Seed of Doubt, as it says here. We're actually at a point where I need to... I need to make a decision. Do I betray this long-standing goal? One of the reasons why I'm a little bit more inclined towards deleting the data is because the Empress seems to be a little bit of an not exactly unreliable narrator, but definitely seems to be somebody who has encouraged us to do certain actions which seem very bad. So I'm a little hesitant to... follow her advice. So anyways, we've got the Lost Hive. This is kind of our main story mission right now. So retrieve the data from the Xeno labs and collect them. We've got data here and we've got data here. We still need to find the lab. So find Propovis, the lab said to be nearby the Syndicate capital, belonging to Rebus Suntoro. We apparently haven't freed the Kir'ko from the Syndicate prisons, but that's something we can do right away. Flowers and bees is something that a faction has told us to do. I'm okay with that. And then there's the false symbiote. I might be able to pull that off. This will at least give me a little bit of an introduction to the combat, or reintroduction to the combat. One thing that I am a little bit worried about, it's pretty grim for all of our traits. We're second from the bottom on unity and military, and we're dead last in terms of development. So I kind of need to get my empire back on its feet. But we'll go through the alerts. I'm gonna figure out where I'm sitting as far as any other details are concerned, and hope for the best, because these guys are coming to destroy my territory.
Clear your mind and listen. Truth speaks with the quietest voice. Artil O'Ug, Kir'ko, Dream Reader.
Okay, so I need to decide a new military tech. So we just got this one here, Domain of Purification. So we've got Vigorous Emergence. These are strategic operations. Summons a Kir'ko Emergent to the target hex. This unit can transform into an Engulfer or a Transcendent. Okay, that's tempting. And Berserker Pheromones. This is also on the strategic layer. Heals all biological and cyborg units in targeted army to full health, and all melee damage dealt is increased by 50% for 1 turn. Okay, that is a pretty decent little boost. We could start down the biochemical path, or we can keep pushing on psionics. So realistically, what I'm looking at here, I'm either going to be going for sort of an incremental step or a new unit. New unit is going to take 15 turns. Now, tier 5 unit is definitely not bad. The question is, can I do something better with the intervening turns? So the deep cast just gives us a deep one, which is not bad because we do have a sort of a water colony, but let's think a little bit more about what else we can do. Resilience will give us Adaptive Carapace, so whenever this unit is struck by an attack, it gains 1 armor for 1 turn. This effect can stack up to 3 times, so that would give me a few more tanks. Tunneling Claws, this unit's melee attacks deal an additional 20% damage. It also gives extra health, so this is really good for my my base units. And then Deploy Abyssin, so this is a tactical operation. Summon an Abyssin, into the target hex during combat. Summon lasts until the end of combat. This unit has strong biochemical abilities that can encase a target in waxy cement. I believe I've used one of these things before. They're pretty decent. It's a bit expensive in terms of the tactical cost. It's the only thing that I could do in the turn, but we might find a use for it. So compared to the mods that we get from this, we could continue going down the psionics path. So this would give me Focus Venom, and it would also give me the tactical operations of Mind Wipe. Now that doesn't excite me too much on its own, so let's instead see what Synumbra would give me. So we've got Initiation into Agony. That would give me the Initiate unit and the Soul Splitter weapon. It's repeating, which I tend to like, bypasses shields. Or we've got Whispers and Visions, which give me pure strategic level operations, although it does give me summons. This is actually a trickier one for me to answer. Then there's Accursed Gifts, because we were considering 10-turn technologies. This one, Consuming Gaze. This unit channels dark psionic energies through its eyes, dealing damage to a target enemy unit and healing the caster for 20 health, bypasses all shields. This seems like a really good bonus. In fact, I'm going to go for Accursed Gifts, even though I may not have a lot of psionic units to be able to use it. Okay, Growth Faction. Horrors! Their cruelty knows no end. Cultists that boil our root nodules, consume our leaves, and pluck our children from the vine to be sliced and slathered in sugary nectar for their delight. Every growth tendril quivers at the horror of knowing that there's a cult of humanoids known simply by the appellation Vegetarians. Alright, so we gotta clean those guys up. So, I originally wanted these guys to go get some goodies. It's going to take me 3 turns to... Yeah. I don't have the heart to... we'll close that for now. I don't have the heart to let these guys rampage on their own, although I have a feeling that Murux is going to wind up savaged by these guys. Okay, now, I'm not sure what the plan with these two was, because it sort of seems like just kind of my generic stack. So I've got a total of 5. Their power is 690. This is versus 700. So, and this is actually a rather tough little group. Oh, I know why I didn't. Because I had these other reinforcements coming in as well. All right, well, that's fine. I will reallocate people as needed. But in this case, I think we're going to stay put. I'm going to bring in the reinforcements to deal with the bad guys. So one last thing I want to do before I move on. I don't know if I've done a very good job of explaining what the game is like through this, but we're going to take a quick look at and see what my my priorities are. I don't think I want to mess around with these too much because I trust myself at the end of last stream to have been making better decisions than before. So the collect nectar makes sense. Here, okay, this is a new colony, so that makes sense. Ah, we only have 2. Okay, yeah, now I see why I'm behind. All right, so yeah, this is going to be about building some infrastructure first, and then filling in the gaps with our army. Okay, so the Marauders didn't hurt our...
Operations available for priming.
Didn't hurt our territory, which I'm happy about. I don't really have any... I mean, if I want, I can spend the energy on some tactical... Or sorry, some strategic operations. The monitor is kind of helpful, and then the threat locator is also kind of nice, but I actually don't have the forces to take advantage of the threat locator, and I don't really need eyes on anywhere else right now. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy the energy. Now we need to figure out where we're sending these guys. These folks will send in to deal with the vegetarians. These guys are just going to sit for a little bit.
Production ready.
All right, so they finished the infrastructure. We're moving on to a brood cluster. So gathering all broods together allows for more efficient reproduction turnover. Colony gains an additional 50% of their food income as a production discount when producing units. Okay, this is good. So the plan behind this one is once we've got sort of our basics down, we're going to be churning out quite a few units out of this. I am okay with that.
Production ready.
And here we're just setting ourselves up to be a little bit more efficient with production. So after that, it's actually not clear at all what I want to be doing. So Skirmisher Barracks will give me a Hidden and an Engulfer. Training will give me a Transcendent. I definitely think the Skirmisher Barracks is better to start off with. Maybe we'll do Infrastructure, then Training Center. Alright. I can always change that after the fact. Okay, so these guys are still not moving on. That's good overall.
Electronic mechanisms employed by the Empire appear to have developed a passive-aggressive attitude towards abuse. If a device is mishandled, it may drain more energy than allotted in system specs. We suspect automaton activists to be responsible. Nonetheless, it's good to upgrade your infrastructure. Tate Oric, Productivity Conspiracist.
Bless your heart, the exception. That's 25 months, so we've come off the 2-year anniversary, but I appreciate it no less. That's really nice of you. It's actually, I know I say this quite often, but you have this rare gift for being able to come in at exactly like the day after I take a look at my sub numbers and feel discouraged. Usually whenever there's, usually around kind of the turn off of the holidays, there's always like a dip in terms of revenue. I think this is like true for everyone. But like whenever I'm like, oh man, like it's really getting like kind of scary low. You always come in with a sub, so thank you very much for that. It's something I look forward to each time. I mean, that's easy for me to say because it's technically money, but you know what I mean. Thank you very much for that. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so this is just getting me more cool stuff. Let's select a new research. And usually when I see like a straight line like this, it usually means that I'm not sure about what I want to do. So let's take a minute here and see what kinds of environments I want to be colonizing. So there is an argument for operation effectiveness. Covert infiltration is also not a bad one to get because there's certain events in the tree that you want to get. But right now, because my development's so low, I want to try and get an edge in terms of my ability to improve the tiles that I'm on. So we've got aquatic development, an additional level to water sectors. This will give me reducing travel time within the Empire's domain. That's actually not too bad, but that's solving the problem that I had before. Cosmite Research Center might be good for improving units, though. And then environmental conditioning, hazard removal, river exploitation, botanical gardens. So environmental conditioning probably seems like the best one for me to go for right now. Or possibly aquatic development. So, nope, not ready. I don't really want to see the operations. Okay, so realistically, what are we looking at? We've got a couple of water tiles. We do have a river in... Okay, so we've got a river in 2 of my tiles. You've got aquatic development to 2 of my tiles, and no river, but likely water exploitation, especially given the fact that, you know, this is taken up by my allies, so I don't really want to mess with that. So I'm probably more inclined towards the aquatic development. What this is going to give me, again, there's +1 to all water sectors. Raising sector level of a sector will increase the benefits from sector exploitations. We get algae farms, so that's additional food. And maritime research facilities, which is additional science. So that seems like a pretty good deal. River exploitation isn't necessarily bad because it does give me the additional food income as well as something to improve happiness. But in this case, I kind of want to do aquatic development a little bit more. I'm making a specific choice in terms of the direction that the Empire is going. Okay, so let's disembark. I'm just trying to think if there's any smart way for me to reorganize these. I don't think there is. So in this case, we'll just prep ourselves for fighting with a 4 and 5 stack and hope for the best. These guys we're going to move towards the vegetarians. And then we can annex a sector. That was pretty quick. So the question here is we've got our food, we've got our science. Oh yeah, I remember. Every single time I play this game, there's always like a comment in the background like, dude, you could take one of the other units and attack it. I know. I just don't care. So if you were starting to write that, stop. I'm probably most inclined towards exploiting this. So again, we made a choice about, okay, so here are my different arguments for different tiles. This, because it's a water tile, and so we made a decision to, we made a choice in terms of exploiting that in the research. And it gives me, 2 food, 2 energy, 2 science. So 6 units worth of goods. Energy is nice to have. It helps me build units and whatnot. Science is also very nice to have. And then, of course, food. Basically, every credible tile that I can take is going to give me the same amount of food. So really what I'm comparing here is like industry, energy, and science. So this is a nice one to have because Stadium Arcadium gives me bonus... By the way, this is really charming. Plays automated concerts of long-forgotten bands. Visiting units gain +400 morale for their next battle. The Stadium Arcadium adds 2 morale when it is within the colony's domain. So, 1, that's cute. And 2, we get... In this case, we sort of get... So this is kind of the morale argument here, and I need to dedicate fewer resources towards keeping my people happy with that territory. On the other hand... We can try and go a little bit more to the south. I didn't realize there was the heavy weapons factory, so let's double check that. That might change my view. An old heavy weapons factory specialized in experimental weapon improvements. It provides 20% increased damage to visiting units for their next combat, and the heavy weapons factory adds +5 industry when it's within the colony's domain. So in addition to the kind of base industry that I get from the zone, I get a boost because of the heavy weapons factory. Now, clearly, if I divide the choices, if I want to consider the water tiles, this is kind of strictly dominant because I get the hydro plant, a forgotten Star Union Electric hydroelectric power plant sits here, gains 10 energy for the colony that it's linked to. So again, this is just a big energy boost with which I can kind of build units and rush projects with. So as much as I like the idea of having better industry, I think the fact that I get sort of 2 energy, 2 science, in addition to the fact that I get some additional, like I get a bunch of energy as well as the science out of it, and the fact that hang on, tectonic rift. I didn't realize that was a thing. Okay, well, that's definitely better. And then fungal boost research output. Yeah. Ocean's Trenches I'm most inclined towards adding, with the second being the Magi Frelet Now, I'm not going to get the hydroelectric advantage right away. I'm going to need to send a unit to take care of them, but that shouldn't be too hard. All right.
Incoming communication.
Zerai Lorig, the Amazon. Don't give up yet. This isn't over. You could still rise in the ranks of the world. Oh, they don't like me. Well, they like me, but they sort of pity me. Hello, Posignor. I'm glad to hear from you again. Your proposal is very welcome. We think alike. Improving our diplomatic state was the right thing to do. All right.
Incoming communication.
You're at the bottom of the capability rankings now. It's your choice to live with that or to rise above it. So this is the Devar, the Space Dwarves. I'll see if I can give these guys a non-aggression pact, but... Unfortunately, I must decline your proposal as it does not align with my plans. These were the guys who told us that
happiness event in colony.
We should delete the data. Happiness event food. Due to happiness, the happiness of your population, there is a boost in food income. Colony's food income is increased 100% for this turn. That's good for growth. And Zerai Loreg, we're not alone in this world. Others have come to share it with us. We should make contact with them, make peace with them. From peace comes friendship, and and from friendship comes unity. And united, we shall make this planet our own. So I have signed a non-aggression pact with someone else, but I haven't done it for 10 turns. Okay. So we will end the turn. And now you get to see all the combat. So I'm going to move the Hydro up. This is just because I know that I'm not going to be using this to build units right away. So again, I want to get that development up where I can. Now these guys, the question is, which combat do I want to do first? I feel a little more confident against the vegetarians. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to move in on them. Oop.
Sector annexed.
Okay, that's fine.
Production
We've also
ready.
created the recreational dome, but we technically already knew that because we clicked on it. And why are these guys unhappy? So it's just the upkeep. So if I can, it would be good to build other... It'd be nice if I could build other things that make people happy, but... I maybe don't want to be going towards getting more colonists, but I'm going to trust that I'm able to reconcile that before too long. Okay, so let's get our practice in against the Cult of Salad. So we're up against Rogue Marauder. This is a hidden, so these guys are pretty good at sniping. These guys absorb damage, so I want to be careful about the Transcendent. The Frenzied are sort of the frontline unit, so I'm not too worried about them. And then generally the Amazon are pretty scary. So here we'll go into manual combat, and hopefully I don't lose too many units. How you doing, Ego Karen? It's a kind of a crappy day today, but I'm improving after it. So I wish it was different, but it wasn't terrible. Or well, like I'm recovering from it. So how have you been? Sorry, that's a terrible answer. I probably should just say I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking. All right, now this raises an interesting question. Do I want to try and put the hidden in and risk the retaliation from the frenzied, or do I want to... Okay, so I can still set up an Overwatch. This is a little silly, but I'm running with that. Now, Pox Tiknor is sort of my main commander, so I'm not too worried about him sort of running into the fray. What I would like to do is get like a good shot on the enemy, which doesn't leave me too exposed, but I think a decent second best would be something that at least gets me the the sort of the swarm shield. So what we'll do here is we'll take the sharp-sighted. These are melee units, but I'm going to get them to guard. So basically we know the bad guys are coming. But I'm going to sort of set up a wall to greet them. Unfortunately, I think I've just prevented my commander from being able to do anything useful. Okay, so here we're just going to batten down the hatches, I think. Okay, well, I get at least a shot. So, in this case here, we've got the swarm shields everywhere, so that's kind of nice. And we'll do a little... Yeah, nothing to write home about. And I think I'm just going to set these guys up with defense. So we know that the bad guys are coming, but we're in as good of a position as we can manage against the coming onslaught. So, not to put words in your mouth, but I do like the saying of licking your wounds. I had a bad day because depression kicking in. I'm sorry to hear that, Ego. So you went to sleep at about 7 o'clock. You woke up just now feeling good. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. Hopefully some Age of Wonders Planetfall will keep your minds off things. They're probably going to blind... Oh, I keep forgetting that's AoE. That's actually going to be really hard to deal with. Okay. I have some ideas about how we're going to deal with this.
Operations available.
Like I said, some of this is just learning to deal with the situation I find myself in. So I would have preferred to directly attack the Transcendent, but in this case, let's go for the thing that it wanted to protect. Next up, let's take advantage of whatever attacks I can get with my my melee units. So this gets me the swarm shield. Now the remaining question is, how do I deal with the other guys? So I've stretched myself a little thin here. In the end, I'm going melee on melee rather than sort of rending claws on the Amazons. I would have preferred otherwise. But I do want to make sure that these guys get locked down, so we'll do Rending Claws on the bad guys. And then the question now is basically, how do I spend the rest of the turn making sure that I can sort of make the most with... Well, there's a side of me that says just run in and... yeah. I originally wanted to do some damage on the Frenzied, but I think... oh, no line of sight. I blew it. Alright, well, I'm going to have to settle. So again, this isn't helpful as far as AoE is concerned, but this does give me a chance to spit up on people. So in this case, I'm going to go hard on the Transcendent. Last question would be, do I want to do any... I think we'll do the Healing Surge near the end, just to make sure that we get ourselves sort of healed up. Hey, totally not Valken. Yeah, I'm not playing the not playing the Vanguard. Otherwise, we would have more mechs, just in another in another form. All right, that's unfortunate. So I might have to do that heal early. Ooh. I don't think they're going to make it. That sucks.
Unit destroyed.
Okay, so we're going to do just Rending Claws on this to deal with the Transcendent.
Enemy annihilated.
Let's get my Hidden to deal with the... yeah.
Enemy annihilated.
So what that's going to allow me to do here is my Sharp-Sighted. I'm now going to be able to move in on their melee units. So they might get hit with a retaliation. Yeah, that was a graze, so they're probably going to fight back. But what this does allow me to do is the Unleashed are now able to run in. Let me just double check. Ravage is... that's a better air-to-air weapon, so I'm going to try and make sure that the Swarm Shield keeps going. I don't have a lot of options here, so we'll just do the Gunk Shot on the other guys. So the aim here, if I can, is to avoid losing any more units, but I may not have positioned myself for success on that. But I think you guys can sort of see what I meant by this game being sort of like Civilization mixed with XCOM. Oh, the figures that you put in. Oh Jesus! I'm gonna.
Unit has fallen.
I don't really know why I expected anything different to happen, but this is gonna be really tough to deal with. So my main hope here is that the Swarm Shield is going to be able to help me deal with the Amazon. What is my favorite unit? Yuri 5ware. Welcome, by the way. It's been a while since I've played this, so as far as this playthrough is concerned, I've actually been getting a lot of utility out of the Frenzied unit, or variations thereof.
Enemy eliminated.
I tend to find that they're working a bit like they're serving the role that a lot of my Vanguard units did in terms of... you know what? I think in this case I'm going to do something a little silly, but it forces them to consider their choice as well. I'm actually going to Overwatch this. It may not turn out, but we'll see. But yeah, so it's kind of replaced the Vanguard. Like the Vanguard, I just create a wall of death and let people run into it. Whereas when I don't use my Frenzied in an idiotic way like I have today, the fact that they sort of keep building up damage as you keep moving on, and if you're able to get some decent heals down, I tend to find them pretty effective. So, but it's honestly, it's been a while since I played this, so part of that is also just the immediate familiarity. Okay. So again, I'm still able to drop a heal on these guys. Before I go too much further, though, I am going to do the Rending Claws on the hidden. Now, unfortunately, these guys are going to get shot in the back if I don't have it, sort of a best reply, so I'm going to need to think this through. Well, one thing I can do is just leave them straight out in the open as an attractive target. So it's a lower chance, but Broken Mind will be helpful. Okay, nice. So I want to be careful in my placement just to make sure that I get the Swarm Shield. And I think I'm just going to keep spitting up on the same unit. And one thing to help us out with our survivability is I'm going to drop the Healing Surge now. So it's not perfect, but it gives us a little to work with, especially because my back is facing the Huntress. And that, of course, is the next thing that I deal with. I'm going to push myself out of cover, which isn't necessarily the safest move, but again, we've dealt with all of their melee units, so that was kind of... I sort of played assuming I was in that spot well before I was able to, so with any luck we're able to survive. The fact that this guy's blinded doesn't worry me as much because these people really don't have any replies where the others do. Yeah, so in this case they completely ignored the unit that I was most scared of losing. So, pause to ignore. We might be able to take a piece off the board right away, so we'll open with him.
Enemy killed.
Okay, so now we get to direct our attention to the deserving. I am slightly inclined towards keeping my units sort of staying still here. And the main reason for that is I want them to get the advantage of the swarm shields. So for instance, this, under normal circumstances, would not be a move I would want to make. But given the fact that it gives me the shield, something I'm happy to go for. Plus I've got snapshot, so we might be able to clean them up with Rending Claws. No, we're still blind, so... Oh, doesn't matter.
Enemy annihilated.
Okay, so again, the Amazon's going to be able to get some shots. It's also going to be able to potentially get some flanking shots. But we know this is basically a done deal. I just need to get the melee unit in and it's over. No line of sight. Okay, that'll do. I want to be careful in terms of where I move these guys just to make sure that I don't go... Alright. I don't want to make... I want to make sure that I can still fire with the hidden unit. No line of sight. So again, that still gives me the swarm shield. I know these guys are going to lose it, but they're going to be going in for the melee, which will probably finish them off. Or they die to the gunk shot.
The enemies of the hive have been defeated.
Again, I'm still not sure if this is on normal or hard difficulty, but obviously I'm annoyed with myself for losing these two guys because they were reasonably experienced, and I'm actually kind of desperate for military units. I'm under equipped. Anyways, Our leaves are tranquil upon the wind. We will never forget the horrors of this cuisine, but we recognize your contribution in eliminating them. So we'll take the reward. Let's queue up, so we'll get rid of the infrastructure right away. I'm actually going to put these guys up. I might need to sack the skirmisher barracks for the... This will cost me 50 cents. Well, it's one turn away, but I might rush the next frenzied. All right. Pause to ignore. What do I want to give you for abilities? Adjacent units with Swarm Shield gain plus 20% to all abilities. I can never remember if standard attacks count as abilities. Looks like they are. So now that I think of it, Fury of the Swarm might actually be a little bit better than I thought it was. All non-mindless enemy units adjacent to this unit receive Sinister Melody. Now, I've built him as a ranged character, so that's not quite as important. Sadism, this unit deals an additional 25% damage against units with low morale. Tempting, but I don't really have any way of whacking morale yet. So you know what, let's do... I was originally going to do Vitality, but in this case, let's do Fury of the Swarm. Because I want to see how that works. And we'll get these guys into the capital to work things out. Alright, so let's see if I've learned any of my lessons. This will be a harder fight overall. But we've got Death Penguins, so... Actually, I should have answered Yuri 5ware's question. I probably should have answered the penguins, because they make me laugh every time I see them attack. So there's some units which are kind of nightmare units, so there are some units where I feel like I can handle like not dealing with them right away. The things that look like they're out of Alien, those are the things that kind of scare me, and I want to deal with them as soon as possible. So question number one, of course, is can I get close enough to blow up any of these things? Maybe. But it doesn't look too optimistic. No line of sight. That's a shame. I bet if I'd moved him elsewhere, I would have been able to. All right, well, we'll deal with... we'll take the opportunities we can. There are definitely things I want to do with the Soldier Bee. The question is, do I want to run the risk? So the Unleashed are air-to-air units. I want to be a little careful about where I put my airborne. But they still get to... It's a long shot, but it does keep me in between. Alright, I'll take it. These guys are a little more healing focused, so in this case we're just going to move them straight into their support role. So the ideal is I get some sort of front line against what's about to come after me. But honestly, I think I've pretty much set myself up for pain. So we'll get our swarm shields in place. We'll get our defenses up. I think I'm really just asking for an area of effect doing this, but... Okay, now, the other guys. Let's at least start with some cover. Drat. It's really open to blow that up so that I could get a hit on the destroyer. So this opens me up to attack, but I do get the swarm shield off of this, so I'm going to set up accordingly. Now the penguin. Penguin leap. Penguin jumps, damaging far away or flying units. High impact stagger, reducing the action points, canceling defensive modes. Sadly, it's not a water ability. That would have been fun to use, but no luck. This is not the smartest move that I could make, but I at least get to defend him. And then the Unleashed is an air-to-air, if memory serves. It's the same as one of these. So if I can, I'm going to get them into range to spit at people. Just shy. All right. Oops. So in this case, we'll just take the benefit. So it's going to be a little bit of cat and mouse with these guys. But at this point here, one thing I don't like is that it would have been nicer to concentrate my forces a little bit in an area. We'll have some clarity in terms of what the AI is going to be doing next round. But I do sort of want to prioritize these destroyers because they have got the... Where is it? Oh, maybe they don't have it. Savage Bite. Right, Parasitic Infection. So there's a chance to... So Parasitic Infection basically gives the possibility that my units kind of become zombies. Alright, well, we kind of knew that was going to happen, so... Interesting. Alright, so the majority of units I want to prioritize are on the left-hand side. It's going to be a little hard to deal with, but I have some ideas. So they're pretty smart in making sure I wasn't able to reach them over there. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. We'll start by gunking the Nightmare Beast. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a... Oh, I can't get a flanking shot because he can punch me from there. Okay, so maybe the Death Penguin just runs in and pecks the... Let's see how that goes after I shoot this thing with a Psi Rifle. And then if I want, these guys can run in, or I can spit and the penguins finish the job. So the Beak Peck definitely does more damage. Oh, that's right, because we've done the damage, so he should be able to run through. Now we get the flank. Great, so that frees us up so that next round we're going to be able to deal with them on this side here. Now, I am going to need to worry about keeping these guys safe and healthy, so I think the problem is I only get one more healing surge because of my tactical points. I think I am going to pop that right now, though. And the remaining question is, how do I deal with our new friends? Not quite the effect that I wanted, but let's see if we can get the... There we go. Still not enough with the Rending Claws, huh? I can inflict choking, but... So the problem with this is that I open him up to a sting from the... Gonna do something a little... It's not the bravest move that I could make, but here's what I'm gonna do. So first I'm gonna get a little extra damage on that destructible terrain. So of course they're gonna be able to attack my commander doing this. But what I am making sure is the front line's a little safer.
Enemy annihilated.
And depending on where they move, we might actually be able to get a quick hit against the sort of the destructible terrain. On this one, I think I'm just going to move my worker bees to a slightly more central location. They'll still be able to heal if I need them, but I don't want them to be in any AoE danger. So let's see how they respond. Now my turn to get flanked. So I'm not too worried about those attacks, just because they don't really do that much to my units. We are, however, able to go air to air with these guys. We're much stronger than they are. Okay, so my death penguins. I don't have a lot of really good movement options. I would normally want to put myself behind a little bit more cover, but I think being able to run these guys in, there's a chance I can get a good... Oh, so close to a good goop, but that's going to hit my hero. So, they get a free attack if I move him right away. So here's what we're going to do. We'll start with the Rending Claws. We might actually be able to finish this off, so let's do Corrosive Spit. Nice.
Enemy down.
So again, I'm kind of ignoring the Kir'ko unit over here, but it's because I want to try and bring other guys into the fight. I could move in and we get a flank on them, or I go after what I consider to be the priority unit. That counts as a flank against me. Okay, so we'll move them up here. This is risky, right? Because I'm going toe to toe, and it's my lowest health unit. So they get Overwatch because they're in melee range. I wonder if there's something else for me to be doing right here. Yes. Okay. So I'm hoping that this sniper shot is going to be enough to give my commander some options. Looks like it is. That's right. So yeah, now I've given the movement. I've got the movement option on my commander. So he's also going to be able to get a nice flank on the bad guys. How is he moving that way? Okay, this feels really dumb that I'm moving him here, but this is actually the one that works best for me. So we'll take the flank. And now this guy gets to goop the bad guys. Alright, so the worker bee. I don't think they're in range. Yeah, they're not really in range of anything too dramatic. I am going to move them a little more aggressively, though, because I do want to try and get a heal off. I think they can only heal other bees. Oh no, heal-friendly biological or cyborg unit. So yeah, I'm going to move him up a little more aggressively. In one case, he either kind of becomes a distraction, or in another he's in a nice central location to be able to defend people. And finally, the killer penguin. I don't think I have any real options. I think the best I can hope for is to sort of insert myself in an inconvenient location and raise hell next turn. But the threat is there. It's a threatening penguin. So it's interesting that they did more damage than my unit when we attacked. I'm gonna have to dedicate the commander on that air-to-air unit, I think. Okay, so obvious choice here. Unfortunately, we really blew it. I'll just take the flank.
Enemy annihilated.
And then hopefully here we'll finish off the bad guy. Although it would have been smarter for me to do this with the penguin, seeing as the penguin doesn't have any air attacks.
Enemy eliminated.
Anyway, so that's dealt with. So step number 1 is to get my commander in a good spot to hurt the unleashed. Looks like it's out in the open. This is kind of doing as much chip damage. Ooh, I just shot my own guy. Dark Locust. Attempt to curse target unit with insects made of psionic energy, causing intense pain. If the target dies while affected, the insects burst, dealing damage and spreading filled with despair to enemy units within 2 axes. That is awesome, and I need to try that again. Alright.
Enemy down.
Obviously, I would have preferred to have healed something else, but
Our forces are
on the odd
victorious.
chance I hit the wrong unit again. So, this is a slightly better combat because I didn't lose anybody. What I might wind up doing here is switching out. I might take like one of the. Well, no, we've kind of got the core of a. I think we'll just we'll build these guys up to what I need them to be rather than try to rearrange them. So the blight has been contained. The horrid abomination slain. Now is the time for healing. Be thanked, symbiote. So again, this is the growth who's thanking us. So, upgrades all around. Kurash Dayak. You're the one with the Psi Rifle and the Dark Locust. So what do I want to turn you into? There's always the argument for the ranged abilities, because heroes are very, very powerful in this game. I think that was actually the criticism of the Age of Wonders 3 was that it felt irrelevant to build other units. I don't know how true that is because I always played it very casually. Then again, I play this very casually. So there is a side of me, though, that likes Infantry Commander because obviously that's going to be improving the army that he's commanding, and I'm definitely not at a point where we're going to have any vehicles for a while. So I think actually in this case we'll go for Infantry Commander. It's kind of a standard choice that I usually make on these kinds of guys. And who are you? Yutsalu. Oh, you just have orders required. You're not leveling up. Okay. So yeah, this is a good question. What do I want to do with my units now that I don't have any immediate military objectives to complete? I know exactly what I want them to do. I need to get these guys up to the north. 1, so that I can claim the production stash, and 2, so that I can free up the hydro plant. So this is going to be a long journey, but it'll be worth it.
Incoming communication.
Good. A diplomatic approach will assure victory. I hope that we may both profit from this.
Incoming communication.
Improving your relations with the locals may lead to short-term gains. Sustaining those relations, however, can you trust them? Do you want a non-aggression pact? Alright, I'm trustworthy. I don't know... I think that's an improvement. It was a circle before. The growth like me? We agree with your proposition, beloved symbiote. As our bond grows, our oasis spreads. Okay, so I'm going to take the opportunity to get some mods off of these guys. Dear symbiote, pause to ignore. We continue to receive positive signals about you through our root system. What is it that you seek? So one of the things that this does, the trade that you do with these guys improves your relationship with them. So in this case here, I don't have a ton of influence, but I'm at least going to get what I can. So we've got euphoric spores. Unit releases euphoria-inducing spores, giving euphoric to itself and all adjacent biological and cyborg units. These units gain 400 morale and ignore morale penalties in combat. And then it also gives an additional 10 health. Regeneration spores. This unit releases regenerative spores, which heal it and all adjacent friendly biological or cyborg units for 10 health at the end of each turn in tactical combat. In addition, it gains 10. We've got verdant growth. The growth have taught us complex techniques for improving our crops. Though expensive, the yields should be impressive. Each food sector now provides an additional 15 food. And then vine bud is a unit. So to be honest with you, like, neither of these are, like, if I had to choose this in the tech tree, I would probably be going for something else. But I think I'll start with the regeneration spores just because it is good for building up the reputation. It does wind up getting me some other things. So we'll close that down for now.
Empire task completed.
And we've completed the technologist. I believe we did that after the AI, though. So if a man with a spade could build a hovel, imagine what he might build with all the tools that technology provides. It is time for us to give our armies the tools that they need to build our glorious new empire. So yeah, we got that done 6 turns after the bad guys. Yeah, you go, Karen. Like, this is easily my favorite factor about the game. Like, it's kind of neat to see. Now, obviously, Triumph Studios is different from Paradox Development Studio. They are 2 different developers that just both happen to make very good strategy games. But I think what's so great about Age of Wonders Planetfall, for me at least, is that Stellaris, you have the solution to the how do we build a science fiction world. And their answer is by giving all science fiction. So in this case, there is like sort of a lore and there is an overall story arc for the games, which seem to be revealed mostly through the trailers. But essentially, instead of just trying to get you to sort of, they don't have like an open and crawl. You don't have to get like an hour-long lecture at the beginning telling you what the deal is. You basically pick what you want to be, think of your favorite science fiction stories, make whatever it is, make whatever you find interesting, and run with it. And that's, I think you can get away with that in Stellaris because, of course, it's a grand strategy game, and you don't have history as a backdrop, so really, it's up to you to decide what you make out of that. Now, I don't think you can do the same approach in something like Age of Wonders, because, of course, Age of Wonders has its story. If you've played Age of Wonders 3, you know that, like, the tutorial has this whole story about sort of a princess who, you know, sees her family betrayed and so on and so forth. And because you have these hero figures and whatnot, you kind of need to... You need to supply the reasons for why people are doing what they're doing. And this game has got a really interesting campaign system in that it really, like, it does seem that they're not just sort of randomly assigning wait a minute. I don't know how this guy got away, but I gotta reunite them. So, you know, you can't do the Stellaris solution. You have to put your foot down somewhere. But in this case, rather than it not just being, I mean, if you want, there's definitely ones that you can sort of point to as like the space elves and whatnot. I think Eyes of Sin's favorite comment on the Syndicate was the snooty space elves, which I found really charming. But the originality behind the different species in this really appeals to me. I'm sure if you dig deep enough, you're going to find, oh, well, this is actually the X, Y, and Z from this game or whatever. And I mean, I definitely think from the opening cinematic, like I was definitely thinking of the Dune movie, like the David Lynch one. And I think that's a fairly conscious reference that they're making. But I mean, again, even the E3 trailer that like shows off the dinosaurs with lasers and Vanguard attack mechs, and like they really clearly had a lot of fun coming up with this stuff. I actually sort of like the fact that the lore never takes itself too seriously. There's always going to be like little jokes that are included inside of the game. But it doesn't. I don't know. It isn't mugging for the camera too much. Like it's funny, but it doesn't. It looks like there's no deadline for this. Okay, given that there's no deadline, I'm actually gonna build the other replacement unit. Oh, we've already got it queued up. And then we got to get this skirmisher barracks back. I really should build the other colonizer, though. I also need to deal with the unrest, but I've already got all of the buildings that deal with that, so... Alright, I'll live with that. I'm curious if there... Let me just take a quick look at some of my templates and see if there's anything else I can do with it. So we've got this sharp-sighted right now. They're equipped with Sundering Claws. They've got heightened vision, so 20% increased accuracy. In theory, I could do... Okay, each time they deal a killing blow, they gain dark reward until the end of combat, increasing their damage by 20% per stack to a maximum of 3 stacks. So that's versus the... You know what? I'm going to give him Mark of the Dark Sun instead. And accelerated healing. This unit gains regeneration, healing 8 each turn in combat. I 100% need to do that for these guys. So we'll mod the equivalent units. It's going to be fairly expensive, but this is 100% worth it. And I'm going to have to adjust accordingly. Actually, while I'm spending some money, let's take a look at my hidden. I haven't modded these guys yet, so definitely heightened vision for these guys. Clarity, psionic attacks from this unit leave a debuff on their target, making that 20% easier to hit. That seems like a good one because of the Psi rifle. So let's say one of these, and then Mark of the Dark Sun. The Dark Reward seems kind of helpful, but... And for now, let's go with the Burning. It's just because that's the one that I have. Pause to ignore... You know, I think I'm going to give him Tactical Aid Ring, and the reason behind that is that it looks like I'm able to apply that multiple times. So, this is actually one of the things that I've really grown to appreciate about this game. The modding that you do to different units is really fun, and it gives you... Oh, that's a shame. I really wanted to make that an enduring, but I need to wait one more turn. It really gives you a lot of variety in terms of the different types of units that you're working with. So I am going to keep them in the city. We don't have the energy for that. Yeah, actually, let's just stockpile the energy. So we're going to keep you for now.
Production ready.
So generally, the production's where I want it to be. So other than the fact that people are unhappy, I'm okay with where we're at. All right. So I've recently come into contact with a commander of the Syndicate. Perhaps I could introduce you to them. My reconnaissance comes at a price, however. Are you willing to strike a deal for this information? No. A terrible blight is spreading through our Earths. A false symbiote has emerged, set on making us part of its corruption. Halt this plague before it consumes the planet. So this looks like a tough group. 5 units... That's an 860 power versus, well, we're not too bad ourselves right now. So I do want to rush the last unit. It's going to cost me 74 energy, but I think it'll be worth it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I can build. There might be an argument for me to put a Transcendent in this unit rather than another Frenzied, but I do tend to make pretty decent use of the Frenzied, so... Let's get these guys some experience. He'll be hard at work on a colonizer, which I think is the right call here. We'll get these guys moving towards the next goodies that I want. Now, Murex. That is my capital. All right. So let's think about where we want to move next. So I've got the research station. That'll give me the additional research. So first of all, let's take a look at what we've colonized already. So we're doing all right for food. Cosmite would always be nice, but I don't really have that as an option. Now, there's a decent argument for that water tile down below. Oh, actually, this is interesting. So is this water exploit... No, this is the sector base. Okay. So what is this thing? Research is performed in these dome-shaped high-tech labs, grants 10 knowledge to the colony that it's linked to, grants an additional 5 knowledge when in research exploitation. Well, I can definitely work that out. Small argument for the terraforming outpost, but we don't really need food right now. And similar story as far as the power plant, but you know, I already went for this one. So, yeah, I'm thinking science is where I probably want to focus my energy next. The only drawback is it doesn't have a... Like, this has a river. This one doesn't. So some of the future bonuses that I'm going to be bringing in aren't as exciting. But I think the bonus science is worth it for this. It does mean we're going to have to go to war with these guys, but we'll do that sort of in my own time. All right, we have worked hard to... Oh, we haven't worked hard. We need to buy another item from a... Oh, that's a shame. We probably could have got away with that this round, actually. Nope, we're still short. Okay, and then this is just letting us know that we finished that unit. All right, we are really hurting on the happiness. I gotta think about I gotta think about how I'm gonna deal with that. This is mostly due to lack of any other better ideas. I'm probably not going to put as much into the infrastructure just because it does cost me something and I do need to get my army up. If we take a look at the objectives, well, I mean, we're up on Unity. We've fallen in terms of might though, so overall we're worse off. I'm a little bit less worried about the might though, because I have a feeling as long as we can get our industrial base up, we'll be able to overcome that. I also think I need to properly start cleaning out the riffraff. So the tough call is whether or not I want to do that now. I mean, these guys are still wounded. Well, they're not really wounded. This is 420. And the penguin's kind of tough. Okay, against my better judgment. So the problem here, of course, is that I'm denying myself all of these other resources, but it's near, it's available. I can also punch these guys a little bit. It's win for everyone, except the bad guys. Alright, well, we already know what we're doing with this sector, so we'll close that out. We'll do research exploitation. We're actually going to put that fairly high up the priorities. So, you know, bioengineered food plantation would be nice. I can see uses for it, but I can see better uses for research. In fact, as much as I hate that I'm sort of delaying all of this stuff, I think there's a very reasonable case to be made that we want to advance our science as quickly as possible. So,
operations available for priming.
Not queuing up any of those quite yet. Now, one of the main things I want to do this, one of the main reasons I want to do this, I actually want to see the penguin in action. So, on paper, this is a piece of cake for us. 1304 versus 420. But what I want to make sure I'm doing is I want to make sure that I'm not losing units. Because again, I really only have 2 bases which are still in sort of building infrastructure mode, which means that each unit I lose is a sort of a step back on my overall goals. So I'll let them come to me. I can't remember what these are. Octowhale, right. So they can spit ink, and they can hit hard. Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take the B. This is a little bit of a risky place to put him, but I got to get some harassment in. So I should have been a little more careful. What I'm basically trying to do here is stagger these guys out a bit. And what I'm going to do on this one is I'm actually going to set up... Now, it's very unlikely that they're actually going to be running in for a melee attack right away, but I do want to set myself up for an overwatch if the need arises. These worker bees have absolutely nothing to do until everybody's engaged. So we'll... Okay, and the penguins, we're going to get ready. So the penguins should be able to do some pretty spectacular things in this combat. But we need to get them in position first. So Unleashed, I mean, I don't really have any expectations for them to be able to do anything, so I'll keep them in the area. They will provide some support gunk when the time comes, but I'm not holding my breath. And what I'd love to do in a case like this would be to be able to do some kind of overwatch. But if I move in closer like this, I've already lost it. So I'll sort of set myself up by the cargo. I don't even know if that has any effect because I'm not seeing any shield. But in the end, this is just trying to limit the combat here. If they do pursue the commander, it just means that I move the penguins in to support. So let's see how they handle it. Okay, so one's definitely coming after the commander. They move quite a bit faster than I thought they would. This means that the soldier bee is actually going to suffer some hits. But then that's why I have the worker in the background for that very occasion. Oh, that was lucky.
Operations available.
Okay, so first things first. I don't even think we'll get the flanking on this one, but... Nope. And like that. Alright. I wasn't going to do it originally, but
Enemy destroyed.
it was too good of an opportunity. So here I'm just going to move back one. This is just to put a little bit of distance between myself and the Octawhale. It's almost certain that they're going to be targeting the guy that they get the flanking attack on, but just in case. And I think I'm going to heal. That might have been a little premature, but I'm feeling nervous. Alright, looks like I was just shy on what I needed for the penguin. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. But I bet I can move them, so I'll move them up. So I think that requires the full move. So what I'm going to do... Here's how I'm going to handle this. So we'll start with the gunk. Actually, change of plans, we can take that thing out completely. So, unfortunately, if I move up here, still just shy of where I need to be, so... I'll move up. I'll guard. Means my my comrades are going to take a hit, but that's life. Oh! So he's going for the more aggressive attack. Ah, for the flank. Alright, I really want to see these things. Target movement, location, block. But I want to... Penguin Leap. The penguin jumps, damaging far away or flying units. High impact stagger units, reducing motion points, cancelling defensive modes. That didn't really do what I thought it would, but anyways.
Enemy destroyed.
Death penguins.
Our forces are victorious.
I was meaning to do this before, so we'll set you up with Enduring this time. So you do get a debuff if you do that before combat, but... Okay, this guy's ready for an upgrade. I think I've already set him up with infantry. Oh, maybe I haven't. He's not an infantry commander yet, so... yeah, let's just make it official. I do like percent base bonuses, as I'm sure you've noticed. Okay, so we're at 1074 versus a 860. A biomancer, so... How can you harm your own mother? Think of her. Motherhood is sacred. All flesh comes from mother's flesh. I assure you I am no threat. Sure, I will protect my offspring and discipline my children, but that's only because mother knows best. Biomancers are the mothers of all living kindred, melded to the cosmic womb. We nurture all life. We were first to coax it from the fertile earth, to encourage it to fly, to sing, embrace beauty. I know your kind. Come, let me nurse you back to strength. Matron Boo Brandywine, RV 7005D, Lure of the Biomancer. Okay. So, Bioblaster, on its own, I mean, it's a repeating weapon, so it's a little alarming for that, but it's really just 8 bio damage. No armor, does have shields. Primal Awareness Amplifier. Okay, so it does get 1 shield off of that. It is harder to hit, it can't be flanked. Regenerative bioregulator. This unit gains regeneration, so okay, it's the version of our regeneration. Manipulate sleep, so target biological, mineral, or cyborg unit to apply sleep with an 8 strength chance for 2 turns. Manipulate men. Okay, so it's a support unit. Obviously, there's the destroyer. This is the thing I'm probably most worried about, though, the Bombardon. So, for decades, we lived in hilltop fort safety, protected behind our walls from the giant swamp-dwelling, toxin-belching toads. Those monsters eat anything given the chance. Then witches came. They preached that men were wicked and women didn't need us. To keep our women safe, we burned the heretics. The hags fled to the low swamps, disappearing among the trees. Nothing survives long there, so we thought them doomed. But the witches enchanted the monsters. They returned riding giant toads with magic cauldrons on their backs. They cast venom over our walls, destroying Hilltop Fort. Mason Monahan, RV67588D, Refugee Records. So, again, another highly creative unit. So, I'm assuming this is an area of effect. Bioshell bombardment. Launch a series of biochemical shells at the target. High impact stagger, demolisher. Yeah, so I mean, like, just be scared of this thing is what I'm getting. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy fight, but let's see how well I handle it. Also, I'm going to get back to my scum saving habit, so... I forgot I can use spaces and everything. Alright. This shouldn't be as bad as I'm kind of scared it's going to be. I also seem to remember that... well, no, I prefer this as Vanguard because then I get to overwatch everything. So, I mean, there's some possibilities here, but I'm... Alright, well, let's just start it off right. So these guys are, of course, exposed as a result of that, but it was a risk I was willing to take. Now, the real question is, do I want to risk area of effect? I think in this case I will. But it's definitely not an obvious option given the fact that I don't know how terrifying this thing really is. Okay. Now, this means that Paz Tiknor is kind of running around on his own, but I'm okay with that. Let me just double check his abilities. So we've got Devour Hope. Attempt to feed on the hope of a target enemy unit, causing it to enter a state of despair. If successful, the caster heals for 20. And then Psi Stones of Dissonance, short-range cone attack that deals psionic damage to all units. Cool. And then we already know about the tactical aid ring. So I could Overwatch, or I could just go on the... I think in this case I'm going to go for the parasites. I generally fear them probably more than I should. And in this case, while this is not normally how I would want to use my Unleash, this is a great way for me to get the Swarm Shield on everyone, so... Hello, the Eyes of Sin! I'm very happy to see you. I will admit, I wasn't actually expecting to, but I'm glad you're feeling well enough to stop by. Did you get dinner? God, these are really cool looking abilities. Alright, how bad is it? Pretty bad! Wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's just drop a proper healing surge first. So we'll start with this guy in front, just because he can probably clear out the bad guys.
Enemy
Nice.
destroyed.
So again, we're still primed for a bad AoE attack. Oh, just short. Okay. Well, we'll batten down the hatches. So the question is, do I want to try Devour Hope on this guy? We can't really. So yeah, in this case, I'm still going to drop the hurt on the frog. Oh, just shy of what I needed to take him out. Oh, but the burn might take him out. So with that in mind, I'm actually still going to stand to deliver. So we'll see whether or not that was worth it. It could be that we pay... with this enduring. It also has parasitic infection on it, so now we get to read what it said. So this unit has minus 200 morale and minus 1 damage after combat. This unit may turn into a Xenoplague unit if the one who infected it has the appropriate Xenoplague technology unlocked. And then we've been scanned, so reveal weaknesses, reducing all resistances by 2. And... yeah. I wonder, though, whether or not we'll get our healing at the end of the turn. Oh, licorice! Is it like black licorice, or is it different kinds? Okay, again, I'm happy that they went for the stronger one. We're still susceptible to a bomb. Yeah, that's probably not so surprising. Okay, that's not as bad as I was thinking it would be. So, obviously we'll take advantage of the flanked. Even though I would want to go after the destroyer, that's too good of an opportunity. And we will also ravage the pterodactyl. Oh, I've had these! Those are really good. Oh god, that was a good choice. I approve, Eyes of Sin. Good for you. All right. So normally I would go after the destroyer, but circumstances call for something a little stronger. So the question is, what do I do with the rest of my sort of advanced squad? So the problem is that this guy is blocking everyone else. So I'm going to move him back for a little bit and just hope that there's not too much of a penalty. Looks like I'm able to attack. I'm just trying to get a read on where I'm allowed to move. So it kind of looks like the purple ends... Yeah, this is actually really hard. So it looks like the purple sort of ends here, but I'm not sure... Oh, actually maybe this will answer it. Okay, so when I'm within the green, I've got 3. When I'm in blue, I've got 2. When I'm in red, I have 0. Okay, so... Yeah, so I can only go here. So with that in mind... Do I have the... Yes, I do have the dark reward. So in this case, we're gonna run... Oh, I should have gooped her first. Oh, we only grazed her. Okay. Anyways, it's not a huge deal for the following reason. I should be able to goop her without... yeah, something like that. So part of that's just doing enough damage to be able to keep her retaliation low. It's not clear whether or not this guy's going to be able to survive, but we've done what we can to make him survivable. So, Sean, how you doing? Oh, I'm bleeding. That's not good. I don't think... Oh, well, Overwatch might do something. I don't remember if you've seen me play this, but have you played any of the Age of Wonders games? They're great if you haven't. Okay, so we know that we've got the Dark Gift, so we'll run with that. Good. Happy to be back in Canada despite the cold. Yeah. I completely went to pieces at the end of the Global Game Jam, so I sadly failed you all and did not bring my beautiful creations into the world. But I have a ton of stuff to do tonight. So the dilemma that I'm facing right now is... Oh, that's right, I've already thrown up on somebody, so I gotta guard myself. This is gonna make it hard, actually. But yeah, my remedial efforts tonight, I'm finishing the stream really strictly. I am then recording a Morrowind episode, and that one I'm also keeping on a really tight leash, and then I have a blog to finish, which has to be up tomorrow. Like, it doesn't work unless it's up tomorrow. So I'm under a bit of a crunch, but I should be able to see it through in the end. I don't know why I brought that up right. Oh yeah, no. Sorry. So after all of that is done, I've been sitting myself down in front of a bunch of Unity tutorials because I'm very insistent on using Unity. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is with a Psy rifle, I'm going to get the stagger on the destroyer. So this now means that my commander can move one unit back and get his shot on the big bad. So we're able to do that without losing any units.
The enemies of the hive have been defeated.
I did have to pay for the one heal, but... And then the good news, of course, is we got new people in the army, so we're going to be able to get them a little bit of experience too.
Objective completed.
The blight has been contained, the horde abomination slain. Now is the time for healing. Be thanked, symbiote. I will also say one of the reasons why I really like this game is the Eyes of Sin made the very astute observation that I am playing the space bees and that I have befriended the flowers. Actually, while I'm at it, sorry to take time out of the stream, but there's two things that I'm going to do. You guys are probably already expecting this first one, but I'm definitely gonna take a specific opportunity here. So this is Sean's itch page. For those of you who don't know, Sean LeBlanc is a game developer here in Ottawa. One of the first and definitely one of the friendliest people that I've met at the Dirty Rectangles local game dev meetup. And that is definitely saying something. There is a lot of competition for the friendliest. But one bad habit that I've run into at the Global Game Jam, I've really been trying to pull myself up to a level of understanding the tools before I before I try to contribute to a team, which might be the wrong way of going about it. But the thing is, I don't really want to be the skills that I have very little to do with with game development. So the thing is, I don't really want to be the anchor. But Sean has a kind of a group that he does the Global Game Jam with, and I got to see them in action this year, the Sweetheart Squad, and they did a game called I Can Fix It. And I got to see this thing sort of be created in front of my very eyes. It's very fun to sort of see them work through the different ideas. Basically, it's a card game, and you should just check it out. The theme for this year was repair, and I think they did a really fun project, which sort of carried the spirit of that theme without being too slavish to it. So it's fun. And there is one card title which I get to take a small claim on, but I'm not going to tell you what card, because all of the other ones are like way funnier. On top of that, let me see if I can find this link, because I have been looking for an opportunity. I do share Sin's blog every once in a while, but there is another thing. Where is it? Where are you? All right. The Eyes of Sin does have her Tumblr account, but she's recently opened up a Ko-fi, Ko-fi. So for those of you who don't know her, the Eyes of Sin has done my emotes. And in addition to just being a really good friend and all-around nice person, I love these emotes, and particularly System 1 HMM. It was my favorite, and it was one that she did with very little like really no guidance. She just put up 3 new images today, which I'm very fond of. One of them is of a bee. But more importantly, so I've often talked about her with her voice acting abilities. She, for instance, did the voiceover for the Horizon Zero Dawn. The Horizon Zero Dawn board game Kickstarter. But this link here is kind of... this is something I've been wanting to sort of see for her for a while now, because in the end, this is a way that people can support her without hiring her for voice work or for emotes. I realize the majority of people who are going to be watching this channel probably aren't people who need art done. Although she has very good rates, and I just screwed up my resolution, so just give me a second here. Her rates are very good, and I think she's very good at what she does. But in the end, I kind of acknowledge that, this is how she makes her living. And very few of the people who I shout her out to do have a need for the services that she provides. So if you want to see some of her latest work, it's there. And I would encourage you guys, if you do have the means, do consider giving her a coffee. I think it's $3 is the starter value. It would mean a lot to me if you did that, because again, it is, I don't think, everybody has their needs, and everybody's trying to get by, but definitely trying to get by on your art is very difficult. That is always very difficult, and it is probably a particularly difficult time to go through that sort of stuff. So again, I need to sort of be conscious of the fact that everybody sort of has people that they would like to help out, and the fact that, the Eyes of Sin knows me does not necessarily give her any special position for any of you. But if you like the stuff that she does and you'd like to support it, even just that token amount is a lot more than what most people are going to do when they get to that website. So I would encourage you to check it out to enjoy the art there. And then for those of you who have the means, please do consider offering that support. Oh, not at all. I will also add that the Eyes of Sin has seen me at probably some of my worser moments, personality-wise, and the level of patience and kindness that she demonstrates definitely gives me pause. So I'm debating about another coastal area or seeking out more Cosmite. So again, I'm doing the thing you should never do in games like this and just taking the colony unit and sending it out into the unknown. But I'm desperate, so.
Incoming communication.
My friend Paz Technor, how are you doing? Hopefully we can foster a positive relationship between us. I'm hoping so too.
Sector annexed.
All right, so this is good news here. We are getting, we're on our way to getting the extra research.
Happiness event in colony.
Yeah, well, we're definitely not going to get that in the other colony. Due to the happiness of your population, there is a boost in production income. Colony's production income is increased 100% this turn.
Production ready.
All right. I'll add the infrastructure, but again, there's no guarantee that I'll actually run with it. Again, I'm kind of behind on everything, so where I can. Oh, I also need to remember. Oh, Nikal has captured your claimed sector. Nikal has captured the synthetic produce biomes. Because of your claims on this sector, you've gained a casus belli on Nikal, allowing you to declare war on them with popular support. I'm not quite ready to do that. Because these are people I might want to ally later. Okay, that's Locust 3. Okay, here's the Syndicate. Okay, so I was a little worried that I was about to move my my colonizer into the enemy. Not a lot of great colonization options here.
On nearly every inhabitable planet, oceans are engines of infinite mechanical energy, rhythmic sources of food and endless life, just waiting to be harnessed by someone clever enough to brave their tossing depths. Sammy Sellis, sailor and Star Union seashell salesman.
Anybody want to try and say that name fast? All right. So at this point, probably environmental conditioning is the way to go. Again, just so that it can exploit the river bonuses. Yeah, it sounds really similar. Not like perfectly. It does strike me as sort of the same. Same here. I will tell you, mention that I think some of the humor here, it's sometimes hard not to. It's like sometimes it's flown past me because I've been like really getting into the game, but there's definitely some clever lines in it too. Like you never quite know when it's going to be going silly on you, which I personally like. I can see how some people would find that off-putting, but that is definitely my kind of humor. All right, I need to get these guys some extra units. So I suppose let's start off with a. Oh, I don't even have the hidden. Okay. I gotta wait till after the skirmisher barracks then. Can probably crank out another frenzied though, so. We'll get these guys back on land and then I think we'll just clear out the riffraff down here.
Production ready. Production ready.
I also need to think pretty hard about, so I'm really suffering on the happiness right now, so I need to think a bit about how I'm gonna deal with that. I could spike some of my population. There we go. Okay, yeah. I'm in trouble. Alright, I will do auto. So we'll do a share here, and we'll do a take, because these guys are doing pretty well. And obviously we're going to be... we're going to be setting up a new colony soon anyway, so we'll be moving on. All right. Mikhail declared war on Secto. I can't remember if these are the people who I'm worried about or not. The Growth Faction demand. We demand Sonoril's essence to keep symbiosis, pause to ignore. So I mean, that's not too much of my income, so we'll give them the demand. We got accursed gifts.
Avert your eyes before my dark icon. It is lodged in your sanity. Your succulent shame binds you to languish in bondage to my cravings. Try as you might to hide your secret sins, they brand you my possession. Giovori of House Ardeli.
So again, another fine coinage from the Eyes of Sin. These are the snooty elves that were being referred to earlier. So consuming gaze, this unit channels dark psionic energy through its eyes, dealing damage to the target enemy unit and healing the caster for 20 health. And then Gift of Oblivion and Dark Icon are tactical operations, but I'm not as worried about those. So, I either need to move on. So there's sort of an argument for another focus so that I can do poison instead of burning. There's also an argument for me to get some more variety in my units. So I think in this case we'll go for the Barrager cast first. And then I'll reconsider where... I'll kind of consider where we're at after I make that move, because I also want to see where we're at with the cities. Rare for snooty to be combined with kinky. The Syndicate do it well. Actually, sorry, speaking of BioWare stuff too, I have a really bad habit of checking out stuff on Twitter that annoys me a lot. And one of the things that annoys me a lot are the genre of like YouTubers who say stuff like "get woke, go broke," or the people who complain about Brie Larson being Captain Marvel. I haven't actually seen a Marvel movie since Iron Man 2. But yeah, like this is one of these things. I remind myself that I'm alive by like looking at the headlines and knowing how much I hate them. But I was particularly amused because it seemed that like asshole Twitter was making a really big deal about the fact that Anthem's Christmas lights were still up, and that was the indication that the game was completely abandoned. So, number one, the Division 2 also still has its Christmas decorations up. And I'm not talking about in-game because there is an in-game reason for the Christmas decorations to be up. I mean the Christmas tree on the player selection screen is still there. And last I checked, that one wasn't abandoned. But what I particularly like is like the day after that was making the rounds, obviously BioWare comes out and makes official the thing that everybody knows, which is Anthem is getting a full rebirth, which personally I'm really looking forward to, and I think it will do quite well, because if you've played it, Anthem right now is a good game that should be a great game. And I think I would probably be playing more of it if the Division 2 didn't exist. But anyways, just seeing the BioWare codec narration reminds me that, yes, Anthem's going to be awesome. I feel it. Mind you, I also said that Cats was going to make a lot of money, so maybe I shouldn't speak too loud. Anyways, I did say I was going to get this heavy weapons factory. As much as I'd love to get the raw resources, in this case, the extra industry is something I kind of need right now. And I think we're going to go, seeing as we want the research, I think we're going to go claim things. These guys, on the other hand, I think we'll clear out the energy because, again, it gives us more resources right away, and then we'll pick up the goodies over here. And I continue to move my colonizing unit into Oblivion. I don't like the oil spill, otherwise that would have been a really good spot. There's no reason for me to think there's anything good in the bottom right, but I'm going to give it a try. Well, it's not terrible.
Incoming communication.
My friend Posticnor, how are you doing? Hopefully we can foster a positive relationship between us. You probably don't need any more enemies right now. Your proposal is very welcome. We think alike. Improving our diplomatic state was the right thing to do.
Happiness event in colony.
So again, I got to deal with this. So Recreational Dome, Botanical Gardens, and Virtual Entertainment Plaza. Unfortunately, I can't build any of those. I am, however, going to kill some of the infrastructure because I have plenty to build. So Research facility first. I definitely want to do military research. And I need to hold the rest. I really should start paying to rush this stuff again. I am not paying you for the Syndicate Commander. Okay, Etunu Hakor wants to join you. So 150 energy for a third level Kir'ko unit. I'm not even going to examine him. I'm just going to say yes. We'll add him to the stack for now, but the aim is eventually going to be that each of these individual heroes has their own group of units. We'll get closer to it, but we're not quite there yet. All right. It's been a while since we had some combat. We're almost certainly not going to be... I'll at least try to make some story progress on this, but in this case I think we're just getting a taster for what Age of Wonders Planetfall is like. I do need to be really strict in terms of finishing the stream right at the ending point. I normally would finish it at 10, but I did start a little bit later so I could have dinner. So I'll finish it at the 3-hour mark, but we'll probably have to do our main progress next time we play this. And that's just because I need to get an Elder Scrolls episode recorded tonight, as well as that blog. So, all right, I could auto combat, but again, the tactical combat's fun, and I learn. I definitely learn more when I take the battlefield. So, all right, so we knew that they were going to do a transfer pane. I'm probably more inclined to try and hunt down the Amazon right now. Okay, so Etunu, I actually need to see what he can do. So he's got a Hasher SMG, Disrupting Hack, which is not useful at all. He's got an Arc Grenade. Okay, so I mean, it's nice that he's got Infantry Commander. That's all that I'm interested in. So I'm just gonna make him charge the Transcendent here. The rest I'm going to make sure that I can at least put people behind cover and whatnot. So basically what this guy's... For those of you who haven't seen this ability, any damage that I do towards this Frenzied unit is going to go to the Transcendent, and the Transcendent heals each turn. So it's a particularly annoying ability, but it's a really good one, and I don't know why I don't put more of these guys in my armies. But what I'm basically going to do here, it looks like their intentions are to get this guy to charge in to this army here, which I'm fine with. The aim is going to be not to stack my units like I normally do because the Huntress will blind them. I'm going to try and spread people out to get a decent enough position to sort of charge the Transcendent and deal as much damage as possible before the Frenzied sort of comes in and starts doing some serious damage. But if in the worst case scenario, I'm going to basically set up sort of a defensive line with these guys, and again, we'll do whatever damage we can, or we'll basically just otherwise keep them occupied until we're able to make better use of our abilities. Okay, I'm going to still follow this principle of keeping everybody spread out, so we'll be behind cover. I don't think he's able... Yeah, he's not able to get he's not able to attack, so this will basically be the bait. These guys almost certainly are going to be able to target him, but again, we're behind cover, so I'm not too worried. I do, however, want to move my commander up so I can set up an Overwatch. Now again, any damage that I do to the Frenzied is not going to count for anything. The aim here is really just to get myself the chip damage on the Transcendent if I can. And for the... Move the Soldier Bee just kind of off to the side. Again, we're going to try and close in on the Transcendent and the Amazons if it comes down to it. Worker bee, I'll move up, but out of harm's way because their whole point is to heal people. And then the Unleashed, again, is really an anti-air unit, but I'll cover the distance if we can get some extra damage on the prime target, so much the better, but I'm not too worried about it. So let's see what they do. Oh, obviously I didn't think that through. So there's the damage. Now the good news is I'm gonna get some flanking attacks. I'm actually kind of surprised that that guy counts as flanked. So I'm annoyed that I got slowed. I'm not able to come after the Amazon now. Bleh. Okay. Let's do the damage to the Transcendent first. So I'm hoping this guy doesn't die. It is a very real... Oh, no, it's not.
Enemy annihilated.
Alright, so the penguins are a little wasted. We might be able to get him into the fight, but there's no possible way this is going to reach, so I need to remember it's left click, not escape. I'm still not 100% what Penguin Leap winds up doing. One way or the other, we're just going to charge him into the fray. And the aim now is going to be to try and do as much flanking as possible on the Frenzied, which has now kind of found itself in an awkward spot. So I will start with... move the 1. So it may not require a lot of sophistication. Yeah.
Enemy destroyed.
Okay, so I'm going to put the worker bees in a little bit of danger here, but I think it's a worthwhile risk. And then I don't think there's a whole lot that I'm going to be able to do with the enduring here, but we'll... Oh no, we do get another... we do get to throw up on the Amazon again, so... So again, somebody's going to take some damage, but I don't see it being a catastrophe. If I can, I'd love to get these guys to heal this unit. I don't think it'll happen, though. No, can't reach it. Alright. Well, we'll take revenge.
Enemy down. The enemies of the Hive have been defeated.
So the main aim on that one is to train up the units that aren't elite yet. So we got a couple of extra levels on these guys. There is definitely a side of me that would like to go right into the other research field. But I think what we're going to do in this case, we're going to move up. I'm going to wait until the next turn, just so I'm not potentially losing units because I'm getting impatient. So, Yutzalu. I don't even know what I really want to do with you. He's already an infantry commander. We can set him up as a Deadeye and range specialist. Void bullets, ranged attacks ignore 50% of the penalties from cover and units in the way. Okay, so we'll set him up with one of those, and we'll also give him range specialist for the extra 10% damage. Oh, and I can also afford another, so Deadeye as well. So again, this is mostly melee focused. I'm mildly tempted to mod some of my other commanders out, but I should probably see whether or not there are other opportunities. Yeah, I'm gonna wait before I mod my other commanders. So always one turn to embark, so the second one will clear out the hydro plant, then we'll pick up the goodies. I am somewhat lucky that I've not run into marauders yet. It's really no good candidates for... I mean, based on what we're seeing here, this is sort of the land of milk and honey. I should probably just move my colony. Actually, you know what? I always say stuff like that and I never do it. So I think I'm just going to eat the extra turns and slouch on to Bethlehem.
Sector annexed.
Okay. Good news there. I do need to set us up with an exploitation though. So let's go industrial exploitation for reasons that probably don't require elaboration. And we will set up with the Maritime Research Facility before the food. The extra food is nice, but it's less of a priority. I'm also going to move the military infrastructure lower, so we'll... You know, I'm not building any skirmishers yet, so I might as well do the base upgrades first, and then... Now, I mean, it's a whole other question as to maybe I should be considering doing a little bit more military-wise in this city, but for now I'm just gonna... I think at this point I'll take advantage of the extra infrastructure. This is, of course, the danger I always have. But I insist that it's the right one, so... We demand action! They came from the skies, tore out our saplings by the roots, weaving them into their nests. Murderers who dried our bodies in their shelter. Who would do that? Surely you will avenge our loss. So, we now need to destroy a wildlife nest in the name of the growth. It's a collective of intelligent plants living in symbiosis with supporting life forms. Central to the growth is their psychoactive nectar that allows them to control other creatures. Okay, so we're obviously close enough to deal with this, but we did just get on our boat, so let's deal with one thing at a time. Let's clear out the riffraff in the... So, again, these are octowhales. I swim with many ocean dwellers, but none is as protective as the gentle sea creatures... of the gentle sea creatures as the octowhale. They are often found swimming with Chalice, performing nurturing tasks for those it deems a friend. When my submersible lost power, an octowhale lifted us from the depths so that we could surface for air. It is though it senses distress and wants to help. When threatened, it can shoot a thick glop of biotoxic ink from its blowhole, but I've never observed it to do so predatorially. Marine biologist Dr. Ariel Triton. RV3423S, Under the Sea. These things absolutely are predatory, but evolutionary mutation, extra health, and plague carrier. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, well, anyways, manual combat. We have double their strength, although these guys are deceptively strong. Okay, I think in this case here I'm just going to use my Overwatch to set up a defensive line. So we'll space everyone out, but I'm going to let them come to us. Doesn't mean they get the first shot, but... Oh, I screwed up already. Ah, what are you doing? That's the wrong unit. All right. Not feeling very good about this, but this guy doesn't get defenses.
Operations ready.
So apparently we're just going to stare each other down. Well, two can play at that game. The funny thing here, of course, is that by not making the move, I'm actually able to put everybody in the defensive stance. So they'll still be able to get some AoE attacks on me, but they won't be as... in this case, it kind of gives me the chance to collapse on them if the opportunity arises. Okay, I can manage this. We just collapse in on these two, and then I have the folks on the edge. Mob them up. Ooh. That is a nasty crit. Alright. So what happened to him? Oh, he's blinded. Okay. So I don't expect much with the blinded, but let's try throwing up on him. Now, the drawback with attacking on this side is that it opens me up to these folks on the side here, but somebody's going to have to target this guy, and I want them to be penalized for... Oh, the melee Overwatch just died. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I went too far away for a good throw up. Nope, I'm fine. And then I'm going to try and wrap this up with...
Enemy destroyed.
Alright, so we're okay. So this is definitely a very brave move. But I have a plan for this. So this guy has the ability to heal. Oh, wait a minute, but he's blinded, so he can't do Overwatch. I have lost the reasons for why I wanted to do that. Oh well, we should still be able to handle him. I don't know if I'm going to be able to throw up, but let's try it. Yes, I can. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm also going to try and... So obviously I can't get these guys close enough to be able to do some melee attacks, but if I can throw up to make this guy fall, great, then the rest of this is pretty easy cleanup. No! God damn it! That was supposed to be... That was supposed to be a snipe that would take him down to half health. I don't think we can kill him now. Oh, because he's plagued. Alright, well, there's an easy fix for that, so we'll... Oops. We're moving closer. That doesn't heal as much as I thought it would. So, we wound up taking a bunch of unnecessary damage just because of that blunder, but
Our forces are victorious.
that's life. Mostly this is about training these two guys. Although obviously being able to get the extra energy online is a bit of a coup too. So next turn we'll pick up the goodies. I also need to adjust the production priorities here to... Oh, that's unusual. So we've got hydro exploitation, derelict hydro plant. Let me just double check that that's... Nope, that's exactly the way it should be. Okay. All right, yeah, so we got our extra 10. The good news about this, incidentally, so I'm already locked in the special project here, but this should allow me to rush certain tasks, and I plan to take the opportunity, take the opportunity wherever I can. These guys, are they finished healing up? These guys are looking for something to do. So I could try upgrading some of these units, but if I do that, then I can't use them this turn because of the debuff they get. So let's just mop this up. Again, it's another safe battle. This one, we don't even have any, like, we don't have any Xenoplague units. So Wild Harrier, a Mega Beetle Baby, and a Wild Shrike. So this guy's going to be earning his keep. Penguin's going to be more or less useless. And, actually, you know what? This is going to be a little bit harder than I thought because we've got 2 flying units and I've got a primarily ground-based force. But I should be able to... sort this out. Again, the thing is the commanders are very strong, so... And I'm actually kind of glad that I'm taking those flying units on at range. Alright, so first things first. One thing I want to do with this character, if I can, is not just take out the... not just take out the ranged units... not just take out the flying units at range. Ideally, I'd like to use as few movement points as possible because I don't get as many shots. I think we'll go against the bigger one. Alright, that was just a graze. Maybe I should have Overwatch there, I'm not 100% sure. Now, does he have the... No, he doesn't give any bonuses for being close. So this is not normally where I would want to put this soldier bee, but for one round I'm willing to get a bit of a risk. I am, however, going to make sure that the worker bee is close by with some healing. Okay, so because so much of my force is ground-based, I want to do everything I can to run after this beetle. So the death penguins are going to head straight behind. This does mean that they don't get any defensive bonuses or whatever, so if they decide to turn around and start pecking my penguins, I really don't have a good reply to that. But it's sort of a risk that I'm willing to take, just simply because if nothing else, it'll start taking some of the pressure off of this force, which is really not equipped to handle 2 flying units. For a similar reason, so normally I would want to try and set this guy up with an Overwatch or whatever. I'm just going to get him in a nice central, like, rain misery on everyone position for next turn. I don't really want to do a half measure on that. And Etnu Hakor, on the other hand, I am going to try and set him up with an Overwatch. It's unlikely that anything will come of it, but we'll see. So the rest of this now is just moving my ground units in to be able to deal with the beetle. Now, of course, these guys are a little bit closer to the flying units, so in these cases we'll set ourselves up for some fortifications. The good news about these frenzied units is that I think you can do battle vomit against the airborne units in a pinch. I'm not 100% certain on that, so I'm not counting on it, but I believe that makes them a little bit better equipped than the penguin. Anyways, we'll see how this goes. Okay, that could have been worse. And looks like they want to go after the penguins.
Operations available.
Okay, so the whole point for moving this guy up was to be able to rain death on the bad guys, so we'll start with that. Also, right, so it's a low chance, but great. So this, actually, you know what? I probably should have moved the Unleash to go after that, because I'm not going to be able to take out his comrade. That's fine. We'll set you up with a Swarm Shield. Now, am I able to? No, I cannot goop the enemy there, so we'll hold off on that for now. Okay, so that's an Overwatch, but if I do a Sting... So this will heal me up. Let's try it. Oh, this is going to be bad. Okay, so let's get our worker bee to help out. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I have any answers for helping out the against the Wild Shrike here. I think all of my... Seeing as I know that the Battle Vomit's not... Oh, hang on, that might be wrong. Yeah, so this is the challenge. There does not seem to be a way for me to target the higher plane without hitting the without hitting my allies. So I'm not going to risk that. I'm just going to set up with fortifications. I'm not... No. I need to do something a little braver.
Enemy down.
Alright, so the Shrike gets one more hit, but it's not going to take anything out, so... Oh. Those guys seem to be back somehow. Oh, this is miserable. Alright. I don't know what caused them to come back. Okay, so I'm really hoping I don't hit my soldier bee now.
Enemy eliminated.
So the worker bee doesn't get to do... It's basically... Oh, it's 3 turns, so I could theoretically use it again, but hopefully I have no need to. So we'll position ourselves behind the beetle.
Enemy down.
So we need to heal a little bit, but there's no immediate danger to us, so we're okay. Alright, so we've cleared out, this now means that Murix is going to be able to do some more... Actually, I don't think I need to worry about the exploitations because I've already set up research exploitation.
It's important to imagine this patch of land without the raging hell fracture of cosmic death spewing forth pollutants from a dimension of pure agony and horror. Phil Dunford, Imperius 4 Colony Real Estate Agency.
Alright, so the Botanical Gardens is the other big reason for getting this one, because it'll be able to give me the plus 6 happiness income, which will balance out the challenges in Murex. So I'm actually going to move the Botanical Gardens up to the top position. The extra Cosmite might help me here. I've also got Forest, Mountain, Fertile, and Ruins. So we've got Forest... Okay, so Forest basically helps us in every region we're in right now. This is a big argument for going with that one. So if I did that, it would be 5 turns, gains 1 level to all production in food sectors and forests. Raising the sector level of a sector will increase the benefits from sector exploitations and sector specializations in that sector. Now, the drawback here is that I'm really neglecting covert infiltration, operational effectiveness. These things actually do count. But in this case here, I do know that I'm a little resource constrained. So I think I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to do some targeted upgrades like that, and then just make up the difference with the added production over time. Okay, there's a side of me that kind of wants to reconstitute these armies. So if I were to do something like 1, 2, so add one of these. So I could bring, I've got level 3 commander. Okay, so better commander over here. Yeah, we'll bring him another. So I'd figure like a transcendent or a hidden at this point. Of course, I can't build a hidden. Then again, I don't think I can build a transcendent, so. So this is close to a pure Kir'ko unit, and then we'll combine these two. So this is sort of back to my old strategy of sort of the, you know, Island of Misfit Toys units. Okay. I'm trying to think why I would want another Frenzied right now, so let's kill that. So Botanical Gardens has to be priority number 1. Unfortunately, I set myself up for this collect nectar, so we got to do that afterwards. However, I should have enough energy saved by the end to be able to work with that.
Action ready.
Let's make sure that I've got all of the upgrades in play. Oh, okay, so we've got civil engineering or military engineering. Realistically, I'm mostly going to be building units. So we'll move military exploitation up. I will get the botanical garden. Yeah, so this is the funny thing. Is like I build the military upgrade and then everything else winds up being like infrastructure. But this is actually a case here where I can see a very clear argument for once certain things are built and I'm going to rush them. I can definitely see these guys churning out units pretty quickly. Again, when we take a look at objectives, Unity, well, you know, number 1. But we are still lowest on might and development, and I don't think it scores on these bases, so I'm going to guess that we're probably very low on that rank. But again, the fact that we're not really being bothered by anybody right now is going to be the opportunity for me to build up a really good industrial base and then have units that basically just steamroller everyone.
Operations available for priming.
Okay. Is there a reason to have you in the capital? Maybe. I guess. Yeah, we'll just keep you doing what you... Actually, here's one thing I can do. I can take this thing... Yeah, this is why I don't have anything to explore, because I keep these guys sitting in bases and I don't do anything with them. Alright, so you can get some goodies. Imperial production stash. You find a transport containing a salvageable production stash. Unfortunately, the stash's systems are destroyed and provide no data on its origin, destination, or event that led to its destruction. So 70. Unfortunately, that's to the colony that I'd rather not get it, but that's life. I am going to pick up the energy stash. Just it makes sense, and then we'll clean out the Vengeance's Vine. We'll clear out the wildlife nest. It's a 9-turn event, so I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, I'm fine not killing units belonging to other players because I would lose, so we'll carry on to the next turn. If I want to buy from the growth, incidentally, I should be able to. The remains of this transport contain a salvageable energy pod worth 44 energy. Unfortunately, its destroyed systems reveal no data on the convoy's origin, destination, or what led to its destruction. So if I want to pick up... see, I really was going to go after that, but that's... Cosmite is really good. And, I mean, this is a quest, so there's sort of an argument to going in here. We'll see. Okay, make an alliance with 2 different players, maintain an alliance for 20 consecutive turns. I don't think I'm quite ready for that, but...
Incoming communication.
You're on the path to victory. Keep it up.
Incoming communication.
The stature of your empire may rise in completing these tasks, but don't lose focus on what's really important. Like non-aggression tax? Don't like me. Alright, so we'll carry on. With these units, I'm kind of hoping that I don't actually run into enemy units. But in this case here, I am taking the opportunity to look around because obviously I've been wasting this. Colonizing unit for lack of any other things to do with it.
Empire task completed.
Okay, we finished the diplomat, which is all well and good. I'd really love to rush this, but I'm assuming I can't because it's a story-based one. I could always like delay it and build the morale unit, but morale structure, but I won't. Again, this is just all about giving me a little bit of an idea in terms of what the map looks like. I think I've more or less settled to colonizing kind of the coast here. So this has got lots of This has got lots of food. We're beside 2 good coastal tiles, and it's... I mean, the drawback is it is kind of close to my main sector, but I honestly don't really see there being that many conflicts in terms of expansion. Alright, so we will pick up the Cosmite. So that's basically a turn's worth of production. This will probably be a tough fight, so I am going to go back and deal with the problem here. This is also just because it'll help these units get a little more experience anyway. And yeah, I think we'll found the colony in this area here.
Incoming communication.
Greeting, Postic Nor. It's good to see you. It would please me to continue this relationship in more positive directions. I know how to take a hint.
Production ready.
Okay, all of this is going as planned. Set them up for a specialist training center. We're still at +6 on happiness, so I'll hold off on the botanical gardens for now. Is this the positive vibes upgrade? It's not quite as explicit as Afterlife, but yes, this is definitely the way that you can. Because I actually should probably see whether or not some of the psionic technologies have a positive vibe name, because that strikes me as these games strike me as one that would include more explicit references like that. Okay. Oh, hang on. That's not loot. Those are bad guys. Okay. So just as well that I didn't send the colony off. There's really nothing. I mean, there's stuff here. It's just not compared to what I can get over here. It's not as good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move these guys over to the right, so at some point we'll run into the Syndicate. They'll probably be ready for a fight, so I should be ready as well. Speaking of fights, so I should be able to handle... Yeah, this should actually not be that taxing. So let's set ourselves up with a new colony first. And if you guys can just give me a quick second, I've been trying to hold it. I really need to go pee. I've needed to for the past hour, and I know I'm getting close to the end of the stream, but I'm not yet at the point where I'm going to keep a bottle under the desk. So I'll be back in just less than a minute. Sorry about that. Especially so close to the end. I really hate doing that, but oh, let me get rid of the sign. But yeah, I was about to burst, so not that you guys... Oh, wrong one. I'm bad at this. Okay, here we go. A couple of words about the next couple of days stream-wise. Let me just see the operator. We have our armies with boots on the ground and guns in their hands, but there are other ways, subtler, safer, and smarter. It is time that we explored our options on the planet. If we outthink our foes, then the battle may be won before the first shot is fired. So, in this case, I haven't used strategic or covert operations, and I mean, that's entirely on me that I didn't properly research those. Oh, I really thought I was going to be able to take those guys out. Okay, that's fine. I'll wait till next turn anyway. Sorry, there was going to be something I said about the comic. Yes, okay, oncoming week. So I'm kind of inclined towards... doing Age of Wonders Planetfall for the next few Mondays. I'd really like to get back to Stellaris and Imperator Rome, but I've also really wanted to see how Age of Wonders Planetfall ends. So now I'm not necessarily going to do Age of Wonders Planetfall consistently throughout the week like I did BattleTech. And I shared with Johnny Big Time yesterday I have sort of my next couple of months of streaming plans, and he said, I love every single one of the games on this list except one. I'm not going to tell you what the except one was, so I definitely have a lot of stuff that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to try and be a bit more consistent in terms of focusing a bit more on a particular title, properly putting it to bed, and then moving on. Because I know right now there's still an XCOM 2 game that's on my hard drive waiting for me to get back to it. Darkest Dungeon still hasn't been completed. Hellblade is a game that I started a while ago and didn't finish. And it's not because I dislike them, it's just because there's so many other things that come up. And of course there is Six Ages, which I also want to spend some quality time with as well. So it's not just that I want to knock these things off the list, but I have some specific plans and some games that I think people really wanted to see me play. And I have a little bit of a game plan in terms of how I'm going to get to a lot of those. So hopefully you guys like what's coming up. But definitely I'm going to be doing some more Age of Wonders Planetfall, and it's going to be hopefully a bit more entertaining than this. This one was really just me getting familiar with the game again, but I'm also remembering why I like it so much. So... You remembered, Symbiote. New saplings are blooming as both our paths return to intertwine. My sworn brothers and sisters are collecting your nectar, are giddy with pleasure. Your psionic memory allowed them to delve into our past. Some mentioned a place of deep shadows, unseizable and yet strangely familiar, which they saw in their visions. They sensed the black tangle. We do not grow there, but the Kir'ko can spread their roots in places we avoid. Tread with care, Symbiote. Black tangle lies in a far distance.
Objective completed.
Okay, so this was one of the story missions here, so technically I got one done. Looks like we get another Soldier Bee, so I'll add him to the unit of Misfit Toys. And travelers from afar venture to the Black Tangle to discover why your brethren have been drawn there in their dreams. Okay. We also got Barriger Cast.
Our poison is the cannon shell that we push from our minds, through our mutated thorax and down the specialized segmented abdomen to burst with destructive force upon the mobs of hateful enemies. Tick G-Glux, Swarm Herald.
So I believe this is a flying unit as well, but there's definitely a reason I picked that one. But I am going to have to pick some new loadouts. So I think in this case here I'm going to do biochemical applications just because it's rather quick to pick up, and I'm at a point where I have a few different units, so I need to start considering some variety in terms of my armaments.
Some life exists in this world by the generous benevolence of intelligent civilization. Keeping a forest and harvesting its resources responsibly requires scientific ingenuity and spiritual patience. It indicates a highly evolved civil society. Dame Viola Dalta, Treesinger.
So the main reason for this was my forest sector level bonuses. Just about every sector I have has a forest, including the one that I just colonized. Forest navigation is also nice, so in this case, all units with amphibious or land movement gain expedited movement in forest, reducing the cost of moving through this terrain. And then there is a colony upgrade here, Eco-Sustainable Industrial Complex. By mixing renewable, sustainable resources into construction processes, quicker production times and reduced resource costs can provide a boost to industry. Your colony gets an additional industry per person, and then for each forest within its domain. Here's a question too. This is probably a bad one to ask at this time because I know normally at the end of the stream it's always a little more calm. But for those of you who saw, I think we'll do. I think I need to catch up on some of my my gaps here, so we'll do covert infiltration first. For those of you that saw the Cross Country Canada stream, if I were to do some other broadcasts which involve, like, wait a minute, where'd this guy come? Back with your brethren. I kind of messed up though, because yeah, I needed to move him over here. Well. Anyways, for those of you that saw the Cross Country Canada stream, I'm curious whether or not there is an appetite for a broadcast like that where I try and go through facts. Like, obviously in the case of the Cross Country Canada one, I was just looking up StatCan stuff, you know, that you could have as well at the time, and like that was definitely very mixed in terms of its overall quality. Like sometimes there was stuff that just wasn't working because it's very clear that whoever makes those tables doesn't actually read those tables. Like that was definitely not designed for humans to read. But I'm sure somebody's going to yell at me for saying that, but I'll find exactly the person who made that program. They're like, it's actually really hard to do, okay? But yeah, I mean, like, so there's that one Battlefield 1 video where I still get, like, the nasty comments because people are awful. So if ever I do something improvised, it always has the danger of just blowing up in terms of me not, like, just taking leave of my senses of that. On the other hand, I do actually like talking about certain topics. So, like, Imperator Rome, I can talk a lot about the classic stuff that I did. Or like Off-Road Trading Company, there's obviously an econ angle that I can go on as well. So for those of you who did see that stream, if it was your kind of thing, feel free to let me know, because I actually have a couple of games that I think would fit really well in a format like that. Anyways, I'll take the coastal sector just because it gives me a lot of raw resources. The strength of the mother node and its saplings is linked to Sonoril's eternal light. When he smiles upon us, we grow and blossom, and when he travels and sleeps, we falter and wither. We know the unrooted kind can take many forms. The glassy carapaces of your ancestors left behind intensify Sonoril's light and let us bloom prolifically. Will you help us create more of those carapaces your kind calls a greenhouse? So we need to dedicate 200 industry towards building a greenhouse, but we should be able to handle that. We can send that to Vaxariel if it really comes down to it. I'm not quite ready to go to war with those, so we are adored by the Kir'ko, which is good.
Colony established.
Okay, happy to found a new colony. Let's start with... We'll do Central Biofarm again. I actually need to convert some of my biofarms out. Good to know, Ego. Thank you. Let's do Recreational Dome, Brood Cluster, and Skirmisher Bear. I'll definitely change that order around at some point. Okay, unrest. Unhappiness in your colony has led to unrest among its population. 20% of the colonists in this colony have become rioters. Rioters cannot be moved from their slot and no longer produce resources. Increase your colony happiness to return rioters back into normal colonists, or activate martial law, which will disable the happiness system at a loss of income and convert rioters into normal colonists. So that's a bit unlucky timing, but I can rush the botanical gardens, so...
Production ready.
So many improvements. Okay. Here's how I think I'm going to handle this. I'm going to take the fastest to build and put those at the top. And then the ones that help me with the production. Yeah, I'll work with that. And then when I can, I'll spend the energy to boost all of this. Okay, finally, we will clear out these vermin. And technically I'm at the 3-hour mark, but I'll get my 2 combat missions done. That'll be our compromise for me having to run to the loo. So again, I kind of got to be careful on these ones just because I'm very, like, the hidden really is the thing that makes all of this work. It's nice to have sort of my front line, but I need to make sure that I'm actually able to realize all the benefits. Okay. Oh, I screwed up. I forgot. It's a sniper rifle, so I have to over... Okay, that's fine. We'll set up for defense. This is just going to hurt. And then this is basically begging to get a goop on us. But again, we have the swarm shield and the ability to reply, so... So basically, we're going to meet the 2 melee units at the hot gates where their numbers count for nothing. We have all of the... so we have the swarm bonuses, so if it comes down to it... Although I guess this guy gives a bonus... Yeah, if he's... Nope, maybe not. Okay. Anyways, so I've got my ranged unit to deal with the Amazon. These guys are set up. They've got their swarm shield in the case of a ranged attack. And we obviously outnumber them. We also have better units, so this should be a pretty straightforward fight. Although this guy is going to be able to get some flanks on us from range. I should also check to see whether or not the vomit actually... see whether or not the vomit does affect the...
Operations ready.
That was lucky. Alright, well, this is an obvious one.
Enemy eliminated.
Okay, so we risk a retaliation. So what I'll start with is the gunk shot. Drat. Alright, well, let's work with what we got. And then these guys, I mean, there's really no advantage to the swarm shield here. To see why, under Rending Claws, in this case it's melee, so bypass all shields. Battle Vomit, it's short range biochemical, area of effect attack, so presumably shields do affect it. But in this case here, this is really just so I can... So, yeah, that's the only real reason that I moved him up. I mean, I'll go for the... Well, hang on. Dark Locust. Let's see how this works. So, I'm not crazy about the fact that I left this unit fresh, but Broken Mind... So, lower morale. And what else? Okay, actually, that was really not worth it. Oh well, lesson learned. Actually, this guy's in trouble now because he's not good at melee, and I don't have an obvious answer in terms of how I'm gonna get her. Yeah, I really should have thought that through.
Enemy killed.
Alright, I think this guy just saved the commander. Okay, so she's now looking in the wrong direction. Oh my god. Alright, that could have gone
Enemy
really
killed.
bad.
The enemies of
But
the
yeah,
hive have been defeated.
I've definitely learned... It's like, so I've always kind of known some of the ordering stuff, but like knowing what disables some of the melee overwatches and all of that has saved my bacon a couple of times. So you acquire 61 research from the ship's data pads. The logs are still intact, showing you the coordinates to a location, the Imperial Research Center. At Old Star Union Sector Base, which is still operational. It acts as a pre-built research exploitation and provides 20 science and then 2 per pop. Cool. We're not going to be near there anytime soon, and it's probably owned by someone, so I suspect that's nice to know, but not really going to move the needle.
Life is delicate, evolved over ages of perfected trial and error. One doesn't gain superpowers by adding an extra helix to the elegant double helix of DNA. It's lethal. No surprise that this weapon, originally an attempt to enhance life, is better suited for destroying it. Dr. Eva Montinga, Terratech researcher.
So this is really just giving me some more options. I'm not really sure that the acidic composite is really something that I want, but it's basically unlocking the rest of the path for some upgrades here. Again, the idea here is now that I've got the Barrager cast, and eventually we'll be getting the Ravenous cast, I'm basically going to have more variety in terms of units And the thing that really makes the difference in this is the way that you mod them. Like, for instance, the frenzied units that I have, I really like the combination of abilities that they have, so that if I wind up with my back against the wall, they're going to be able to punch above their weight. And so the question now is, what is the next sort of path that I want to move down? I can take Dark Lament, which really just gives me... so this is a strategic operation. This is more of an offensive strategic operation as well, so I'm less likely to use that. The Spire of Suffering, I think, is a colony upgrade. Yeah, it is. Spire of Suffering unlocks the Dirge Doomsday weapon. Each additional Spire of Suffering that you build increases the level of the weapon, making it stronger. So the Dirge, at the highest level, happiness reduced by -30. Martial Law will always kill the rioters. Has an 8 strength chance to apply Broken Mind to non-Synumbra player units in combat, and applies Dark Elation to Synumbra player units during combat. So, I mean, it's a terrifying weapon, but it's definitely something that I'm going to have to dedicate a lot more resources towards to really find it worthwhile. Whereas Dominion of Affliction, Volatile Afflictions, Resilience, or even the Ravenous Cast have more immediate benefits for me. So Volatile gives me attacks from biochemical weapons now deal arc damage and have 12 strength chance to apply Electrify to non-ethereal units. Interesting. And then increase 10% on extra abilities. Or I go for Poison and... You know, I think I'm actually going to do... I wasn't originally thinking of this, but Vigorous Emergence is actually something that will be rather helpful given the fact that I'm short on units. Do I still have Rioters? Oh, yeah, we're still kicking around. We'll let them kick around for now.
Everyone needs an excuse to do what they wanted all along. They have stuff that we want. Who decided they get to keep it just because they got there first? Zerera Tan of House Voyan, diplomatic consort.
Okay, so as I said, we're going to be kind of cleaning up some of the society research. Okay, Karash Dayak. So he's a little more sniper-oriented. There might be an argument for the Fury of the Swarm, although he tends not to run with the front line. Deadeye wouldn't be terrible to have because it does give him that extra accuracy. I think I am going to do Fury of the Swarm, though. The extra shield is not terrible. I think Watchman is better, though. Well, hang on. I already have Overwatch, so I don't really need that. We'll give him the extra vitality. He's the one who almost died, so... I should at some point consider giving him some... giving him some mods as well, but I'm really lazy when it comes to that for my my commanders. Alright. This is gonna take me 2 turns and I'm already over time. We should still be able to make it. So the thing I'm slightly worried about is that because we're even... Oh, actually we're plus 10. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, we'll see. Alright, this is a worry that there's now 2 of them. So instead, I'm going to turn this unit around. If we're going to have to deal with multiple units in this combat... I mean, there's ways that I can angle this so that I can probably avoid dealing with these guys. But I need to be careful. Okay. Hydro exploitation, I'm fine with that. And we'll move this up the list. think I'll set these guys up for a take as well. Honestly, though, this one probably shouldn't be taking food as much.
Operations available for priming.
Still good. This is a little bit of a waste of movement, but I don't really want to fiddle around too much with it. So, and again, the whole point of this group is just to get a little bit more intel in terms of what's going on in the other regions. If I really wanted to make this a scout unit, I would just send the bees on their own because they can fly and they have a little bit of a faster movement, but I'd prefer to just move the stack overall. Alright, so again, we're going to get these guys to deal with the objective. We still have 4 turns.
Sector annexed.
That's fine.
Production ready.
Alright, so I am curious if these guys move. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Well, generally this is good news. So the worry, of course, is that these things are going to go after Un Bateau. But of course, now I'm able to clear these guys out with my main stack, and then this 5 stack will go and wipe out the 3. So, although they're definitely scary looking. I mean, numerically, it still says that we beat them, but I want to be careful. Oh, that's right. There's also this excitement. So Void Storm. Every turn, non-Void Tech units have a Strength 4 chance to receive Dimensional Instability. Dimensional Instability can be very, very irritating because it potentially prevents you from being able to attack stuff. So these guys are out of range. I can move up one. So in this case, Flame Finder. It'd be nice if I can put them behind cover, but in this case here, being able to shoot some of the flying units early is a big bonus for me. Alright, now Pox Nator. If I can. Sadly, he doesn't have the range to be... Oh! It's not my best shot, but it's a shot, so... Beautiful.
Enemy annihilated.
So again, I want to be careful about these guys. They're not pushovers, but the real worry right now is the flying units. So in this case, this is really just about spreading the swarm shield. Unfortunately, not everybody gets Fury of the Swarm, but... There might be a little more sense in moving them up by 1, but I don't want them to block the path, so... Anyways, we'll see what they do. It looks like there were a few dimensional instabilities. So these things can jump, but it looks like they didn't take the opportunity.
Operations ready.
Okay, so again, priority number 1, I want to try and take out any of the flying units. Huh. This is inconvenient, but...
Enemy killed.
Now the drawback here is that we really don't have much to... Well, okay, here's what we'll do. Gotta have somebody at the Vanguard. Oh, okay, that's encouraging, actually. I didn't think we were going to be able to do that. So, the big trick here is that I'm also going to be able to throw up in between these two guys. So even though the hoppers are going to be able to pounce on one of my guys, oh, you know what? It's even better than that. Or I kill my own guys. All right, so we basically just need to deal with the hopper hounds, which again, they're like, they are a concern, but it's not the end of the world. All right, probably best not to take those guys on. Don't take a range unit and go after a melee unit.
Enemies of the hive have been defeated.
Okay, so that was pretty straightforward, and again, valuable training for the units that we just brought in. Take the reward.
Objective completed.
We thank you profusely for destroying the creatures that slew our saplings. You have proven yourself a friend to the growth. Okay, and while that was originally it for me, let's combine the forces. Again, this would normally be a unit that goes to the Island of Misfit Toys, but in this case here, again, this is a worry because it's two flying units. I have 2 flying units and 1 ranged, and then primarily melee. So this is like, yes, we have the higher power, but given that we're going to be dealing with dimensional instability, this will probably be a very tough fight if we get a couple of unlucky die rolls. But we'll employ the same strategy as before. The commander, so remembering that the commander has a sniper rifle, so I got to be careful on what I choose to shoot. The aim is going to be to... Actually, you know what? I can simplify this even more. So there's actually really no benefit to the shield because our guys... Our guys are going to be in a pure melee fight, but in this case here, we'll just sit and let them come to us. The more turns that I get to snipe the target, the happier I am. And then the Shrike can come in and mop up anything that causes us some grief.
Operations ready.
Okay, so the first big question is, am I able to move an air-to-air unit in? Yes. Okay, so we'll start with a Ravage. Sadly, that didn't finish the job.
Enemy annihilated.
So I'm just kind of accepting the fact that there's going to be some damage from the fact that I didn't kill that thing. But what we're now going to do here is the melee units are going to rush the Hopper Hound. I'm keeping some spaces open just so that I can get the most units in on the dog pile. And I'm slightly curious if I can get away. I mean, I can get close to it, but I can't actually deliver the coup de grace. I can, however, throw up on it, so let's see if that's going to be enough.
Enemy killed.
Hey, it was. Alright, well, we knew that was coming. So I didn't use the sniper simply because it's entirely possible that he'd shoot the anti-air unit out of the sky. So I said I was going to be really strict with the times, and I wound up being half an hour later than expected. Okay, I'm going to finish up the rest of the turn. I'll give a bit of a debrief on the game. So again, I really like Age of Wonders Planetfall. The growth faction wants Sonoril's essence to keep symbiosis. Sure, we'll pay them. We'll keep you on the same path. I don't know if there's any faster recovery. You know what? That's wimp talk. I should have got them exploring. We can annex its first sector, so the Seafoam Central Biosphere seems like the sort of thing I'd want, but apparently it's occupied. Terraforming outpost will give me extra food, but it doesn't give me a lot on other things. I'm not crazy about this. Oh, gives... Okay, yeah. Gives unhappiness, so let's not take that. So if I want the food, either of these, or I go for the sea tile, which is always nice. As much as I don't like my colonies fighting, this is a good expansion.
Incoming communication.
Don't give up yet. This isn't over. You could still rise in the ranks of the world.
Incoming communication.
You're at the bottom of the capability rankings now. It's your choice to live with that or rise above it.
Incoming communication.
Greetings, Pox and Tor. It's good to see you. It would please me to continue the relationship in more positive directions. Now, I'm not going to do this because this will get me potentially at war with the Devar.
Production ready.
Let's do... Oh yes, I need to remember the greenhouse parts before too long. We'll do the elite military facility, but I may do that later. Okay. But yeah, so overall, again, I really like Age of Wonders Planetfall. I think one of the drawbacks I run into, especially in the early game, which I'm not really in here, but seeing as I'm sort of reacquainting myself with the game, the tagline for this was "Make your turn count," and I really feel like there are some turns where I could eke out some efficiencies, and I haven't quite gotten my mastery to that level yet. In terms of what the bad guys are talking about, I mean, again, my Unity capability is up, but my might and my development haven't really changed that much. The development's a bit of a shame because obviously we've been making some efforts in terms of building up my infrastructure and whatnot, but the thing is that to a certain extent, clever use of the military will make that development shift really quickly because you start taking over enemy units, areas, and again, because this is a campaign mission, they might be going easy on me to let me fulfill story objectives and whatnot. But anyways, I'm kind of back. I feel like I'm kind of back to my overall understanding of the game. So the latest I will play this will be a week from now, and I'm really looking forward to it. As again, this is both this base game and Revelations, the first DLC. I was given press key for promotional purposes, so keep that in mind. I'd say that at the start, but there's not always as many people at the start as there are at the finish. So if you're considering getting this game, I definitely think it's good and worth playing, but do keep in mind that there is that interest that should be disclosed if you are making a buying decision off of that. I did note, by the way, that the Twitter account posted a cryptic date, so I'm assuming that's going to be the arrival of the next DLC, but I'm not in any rush because I still have the main campaign, which I'm on right now, as well as the campaign for Revelations to finish up, so I'm certainly looking forward to going through all of it. But on that note, stream 3/10 finish. We're done for tonight. I really need to get on this Elder Scrolls episode that I'm about to record, and then I also need to finish the blog. I might have to do the blog. I might have to publish it on my lunch break. But yes, thank you everybody for watching. Assuming that I get the recording finished tonight, next episode of Morrowind should be coming online I'm going to say around 7 tomorrow, because what I've noticed is when I upload, even if it's first thing in the morning, Twitch sometimes needs the whole day to process. So there should be another Morrowind episode tomorrow, but keep in mind that it will always be up at 7 on YouTube. It is close to 7 on Twitch, and because I'm recording it later than I was planning, I'm basically an hour off on when I was planning to record this thing. There might be a little bit of a lag in getting everything set up, but if I stop talking, I can record it as soon as possible. It'll also probably be a shorter episode because, well, you know why. And then Wednesday and Friday, I might do Planetfall. I'm probably going to do one of these other things that I have on the list, so I'm not going to say what it is. When I'm ready to say what it is, I'll say it on Twitter and possibly the Discord, but it's not as much activity there, so I kind of assume people see the Twitter more often. And thank you for stopping by, Sean. Again, check out those lovely people. Before I wrap up, let me just find who's online to send you to a more competent streamer. I will also try and be a little bit better at Age of Wonders Planetfall for when it's when I play it next time. Not that I'm like doing terribly, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with the game at the end of it. Okay, looks like Kilgore Trout is playing Might and Magic Book 1 on GOG.com. So I don't always raid the GOG channel for reasons that don't require elaboration. I think most of you already know them. There's a couple of people who are cool who I want to host, but I actually quite like Kilgore, and Might and Magic looks very strange. I think if anybody's going to make that game interesting, it will be him. So it's a very old game. It's nothing like what I know about Might and Magic. But Kilgore's a good guy and fellow Canadian, so I always want to get that angle in there. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'll see some of you tomorrow, and I'll see the rest of you Wednesday. Or for those of you who only come for Planetfall, see you next week. Have a good one.